Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fall semester of 2016. Yep. My name is Liz Warren. For those of you who don't know me, I'm on the faculty and I run our Storytelling Institute here at the college. And before I bring Dr. Olson up, I want to tell you a quick story about something that happened to me earlier this summer. I was at Arizona Mills working at our recruitment table with Noah Guttel, our music faculty member, and yes, Noah, and Armando Chavez, who works for Dr. Igodaro. Is Armando here? How about a round of applause for Armando, just on general purposes? And also some of our colleagues from Hope College. And after, of course, I was wearing my South Mountain Community College t-shirt that Dean Chavez gave me when I told her I don't have any. Christopher had said, you have to wear one. So I said, I don't have one, till he got me one. So after I left, I decided to go to the Safeway in Albuquerque, because it's right there around the corner. And I was there in the fruits and vegetables section, sizing up the avocados, as you do, when a woman approached me and she said, oh, do you work at South Mountain Community College? I said, yes, I do. She said, I have to tell you, my son is going to be going there in the fall. I said, well, that's fantastic. She said, I want to tell you that we could have just as easily gone to Mesa Community College. We went to Mesa, and we... That's exactly what I did when she said that. I said, no, you didn't. She said, but we came to South Mountain. And right from the minute we stepped foot out of our cars, we knew it was different. When we walked into the Student Services building, we were greeted with such enthusiasm. We met with an advisor who was really concerned about my son and what he wanted to do. We walked around the campus, we went down to the Entrepreneurial Center, we loved that. I said, well, did you have a bad experience at Mesa? She said, no, we didn't have a bad experience. They were all very professional. She said, the difference for me and my son was that at South Mountain, everybody was professional, but they were also personal. And my son said that he thought that all things being equal, he'd much more likely be seen as a person here at South Mountain than he would at Mesa Community College. And that's why he chose to come here. So we're going to get that chance, not just with him, but with 3,300, maybe more, probably more students this fall. And I want to congratulate you all on creating this environment at South Mountain Community College that would make a mother feel so comfortable, so confident to send her child here. Thank you all, and let's have a fantastic semester. And now keep right on clapping for our president, Dr. Sherry Olson.
Thank you, Liz. That was a great story, and it's true, right? It's a true story. It's real, because she's a storyteller. It was a great story. It was a great story. And that's truly, I want to share with the people in the room that, I was hired 5 years ago, and today we're going to honor 4 of our faculty that have reached a point of status. There's 4 faculty that started the same semester that I did. But when I looked at South Mountain, as I was applying, the reason why I applied at this college was because of the vision statement. And that is South Mountain Community College educates minds, transforms lives, touches hearts, and builds community. And I think the story that Liz just told is that you're exemplifying that vision statement, and that is of great honor that you as employees are doing that collectively to make a difference in the lives of our students. So I just want to start out by a big shout out, thank you, following on Liz's great little story that's really the truth. So let's see, where's the remote control? Let's see, it's right up here. So we're going to start out by introducing, we have many new faces in our audience today. I think we have 8 new faculty members, many PSA employees, a few MAT employees that have joined us since the spring of last year. So we're introducing people that have been here for a few months, as well as some people that have just started as of yesterday. So to help us do the introductions, we're going to ask Dr. Janet Ortega, our Vice President of Organizational Effectiveness and Technology, to do this introduction of all of our employees. So I'll hand it off to Janet.
Thank you. Now, as you know, South Mountain takes a lot of effort in the selection of employees to be of service at the institution. We have current employees of the highest caliber whose strengths, whose abilities, whose care and concern bring our students to success. So when we bring new employees on board, it is a difficult job to do that. So thank you to all the committees who helped bring these folks into our family. We do it with very sincere effort and very serious effort. So to qualify to be part of the SMCC family, I want to congratulate you ahead of time, but for introductions, because there are quite a few, there's 24, probably 27 with the few I've added at the end. I'm going to let you all read the slides, but as I call your name, please stand and remain standing so people will recognize you, okay? Judy Belcher has been added as our Director of HR. Suzanne Durkin Bighorn. Where are you, Suzanne? Suzanne's continuing with us after her first successful great year. Stay standing, Suzanne. Can't sit down yet. Nathan Smith in Institutional Research. Stacy Wright is returning to South Mountain. If you don't have time to read the slides, please request a copy. Jennifer Avila, reading faculty. Summer, is it Sherland? Rosemary Doogie. Education faculty. There you are. Alexander Frank Kuzik. Alex, may I call you Alex? I think I saw you and I thought you were a student. My apologies. Tyler Gillum. Tyler's been with us, but he successfully anchored the health and wellness faculty. Ignore the spelling, please. Alicia Lamy, program advisor. Marlon Lydell, student employer connection. Lindsay Miller. Now that was a steal. I'm not happy about that, Mark. Yvonne Parkinson. Stephen Puklin, English faculty. Did I pronounce that correctly? Last name? Puklin, thank you. Christine Rapp. If you get a chance, please ask Christine about her summer vacation. It's a beautiful, beautiful trip. Beautiful trip. Ryan Centers. Psychology faculty. Sonia Tatum. Very exciting transition for Sonia. Carrie Scott. There's Carrie. Counseling faculty. Kurt Hauser, public safety. Kurt, is that your profile picture? You make me want to sing Who Let the Dogs Out, but you're on my team. Carol Rivera, student service specialist. Where's Carol? Margaret Turner Sample, she's not here today, she's on vacation. Kevin Velasquez, sorry. Is Kevin here? Kevin may be covering our enrollment services desk because students are first and they're our priority. So Kevin's probably there monitoring the office. Rachel Harrison, student service specialist. Same thing. Vanessa Logan returns. Let me go back. Stay standing, stay standing. Everybody, please look at these folks. Look at these folks. Remember their faces and their names because we want to give them a very warm welcome to South Mountain Community College. Some have been with us, some have not. Let me give you 3 more that are very special in my division that I need to include. Did you have someone else? Oh, come up here, Miss Tilly. Robert Gomez, where's Robert? Stand, please. Robert is not new, but he's exceptional. He works so hard and focuses on the presentation of our college campus for our students, our employees, and our staff that he's been promoted to lead groundsman. Is Maximo here? Maximo, adelante por favor. Maximo has an exceptional job as well as an OIO. He is now a permanent groundsman for South Mountain Community College. And Jason, where's Jason? Is he gone already? There's Jason. Jason broke all the rules. He was accepted into the apprenticeship program for Maricopa Community College District. He is excelling in that program. He is currently at South Mountain fulfilling his requirements for the apprenticeship program. When he gets out, we have a potential slot for him as a permanent HVAC tech at South Mountain. So welcome back, Jason. Welcome back. We're not going to let you go anywhere else. And then Tilly's got one more.
We have Andrea Rivers.
Yay.
And also position for English and just started yesterday, just got notified yesterday.
Welcome, welcome. A very, very warm welcome from all of us at South Mountain Community College. You can sit down now. Please allow Jason an exception to leave if he has to work in the SF building while you are off.
Indeed. I think we can all agree there is no more important position than the HVAC technician. Dr. Olson, will you come up and tell us about the year, please?
Absolutely. I'm going to be talking, and Dr. Osaro is going to be doing some updates, and then we'll move into our speaker who's with us today, and faculty members will be involved in introducing our speaker. So I'm going to quickly go through some things that I really want you to focus on because you were the reason why these things happened. In the year of reflection in January, the college was acknowledged for a Bellwether Award, this time in the workforce development category. Bruce McHenry, Dr. Ray Rivera, and our business partner Robin Romero presented in end of January, and we were one of 10 colleges recognized in the category of workforce development. So there's a shout out to all of you that made this happen. We're very proud of this accomplishment. And to the new employees, we always look forward to applying for a Bellwether. And the year before, faculty and developmental ed represented us as a top 10. So we're looking forward to applying again in the next year. So kudos, shout out. Another accomplishment, if you've noticed the banners across the college, there's one that has this beautiful flag, the Aspen Prize. South Mountain recently in January was also identified for the second time in its history and made the top 150 community college list with the Aspen Prize. So again, this is a result of one or all four or two or three of these things that are identified by Aspen. It identifies exceptional student outcomes in student learning, degree and certificate completion, employment and earnings of our students, and access and success of minority and low-income students. And we are doing an exceptional job as a college advancing the needle for our students. Which leads us to graduation this year. Look at the numbers of certificates and degrees in one year that we produced as a small college, 959, that was provided by IR yesterday. 418 graduates, and of those 418, 286 participated. So again, that's a very high number, and I thank you all for helping getting the students to the finish line and getting them to participate in the event. So big shout out there. Cheers. Again, this is just contributing factor, governing board, out metrics. Notice here that in November of last year, we are identified as being higher than the district average in moving students from out of developmental ed courses. I mean, these are big numbers to be 4 or 5 percentage points higher than the district average in moving students progressively through the developmental ed series to be able to be in college level classes. And then also here, our success rate in college level classes continues to go up. Look at that. And again, these are the factors that help us get in the Aspen list, because these are the factors that they look at. So again, keep doing what you're doing and let us know how we can support you to make more things happen in the lives of our students for success. Also, fall retention continues to climb. We were at a very low point in 2011, but we continue to push it above 50%. And you know, if we could ever reach that 60% mark, we'd be setting a community college record in the nation. So keep at it. We want to keep moving that retention, fall to fall retention rate up, keep our students coming to college and being successful. A lot of accomplishments in athletics. Some of you have seen these before, but our athletic program is exemplary in the district. They not only want great athletes, they first and foremost look for great students. So here you have NJCAA All-Americans. We have multiple people in multiple programs represented. There's 7 up there. We had 6 sports qualify for the regional competition. Again, that's a huge accomplishment for those teams. Here's the academic All-American list of our athletes. Look at that. This is even more impressive, the team GPAs of these teams. Again, 6 of the teams qualified to be recognized by the NJCAA as all academic teams. Highest is volleyball at 3.57. This is GPAs, cumulative GPAs of all members on the team. So 1 or 2 people can really drag your team average down. So you know the coaches are really working to keep all students focused on success in the classroom. So a big shout out to Athletic Director Todd and all the coaches in the room for making this happen year after year at the college. Our basketball team competed for the regional championship. They beat Phoenix College on their home court. Of those of you that were in the gym that night, it was a pretty exciting night for the team. So there's just a picture of them. They went on to compete at the national tournament, finished 8th, and then here's this happened after everyone left for the summer, but our golf team took home the national championship for the 5th time. So that, you know, those are a lot of things that are positive, and I want to focus on that because you're doing a lot of good work. Here's just a few updates. There's many people serving on the Vice President of Learning search. This is the update we can provide you at this time. We have a large committee working on this, and they've worked diligently over the summer, so I thank them. And they're continuing the process, and we should have open forums this fall. We'll let you know through email when those will be. We invite you to participate in those open forums and give us feedback. So that's the update on the search. It's moving along, and we'll keep you posted by email. Hope. As you can see, as you drive in the north parking lot, that building is moving along. It's looking pretty nice. As of yesterday, they had 122 students enrolled, and they're recruiting in this room every Thursday night. So if you want to help them recruit students, come on over on Thursday nights, and they're opening after Labor Day, the 6th of September. And we did a walkthrough 2 weeks ago, and there's actually paint on the walls in the hallway. We were with Mr. Rose. And here's what the gymnasium's looking like. That won't be complete as of on the 6th of September, but it will be completed this fall. And then this is just a picture of their library, and it faces our north parking lot in the Performing Arts office area. Another update, district HR organizational chart. Our HR office is going to, this fall, no longer report to the college, but report to the district. So that's about what I can tell you at this point. We'll keep you updated. But so Judy's reporting into me right now, but all the HR directors will be reporting into the district sometime this fall. So just wanted to let you know that so you're not surprised. They'll still be located on our campus, but the organizational chart is going to change. And the last thing, the people that I want to acknowledge that did some amazing work this summer was a task force that got together to discuss student loan default. And at this time, I want to acknowledge all the people. So if you were a member of this task force, can you please stand up so we can acknowledge you? Stand up, please. This group did amazing work. There's a draft report. I asked if I could share it with you. They said, no, it's not perfect yet, so we're going to make it perfect, and then we can send it out. So we'll be sharing with you their recommendations, very strong recommendations, but a group that did amazing work in a short period of time. So I just want to thank you for that. And I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Osaro.
Good morning. Welcome back to the fall 16 academic year. I hope you all had a splendid summer and you got some rest and you come back with your running shoes because the students are coming on Monday and we need to keep pace with them. So welcome back. I have a few, it's not really an update as such, but really kudos to a number of people that have helped collaborate with Student Affairs over the summer, giving up their time to really help us. Over the last 5 years, all of the district has been faced with enrollment decline. And so some of the individuals I'm going to recognize are folks that have really leaned in to help us with our enrollment situation. Relative to the Student Loan Default Management Task Force, a number of the individuals here were supposed to be away for the summer, but I made a phone call to them at a late hour, and they were willing to give up some of their time to really come and help. So I doff my hat to everyone, particularly Inez Moreno and Liz Warren for chairing this group, so thank you so much. Again, the default task force was cross-representational. As you could see in the previous slide, a number of faculty participated in this effort. They presented their findings to the exec team on August 4th. It is a draft at this juncture, and we intend to continue the work throughout the course of the semester to really impact the outcome in terms of student loan default. The other thing I would mention is that this is an effort that impacts all of the college. We all have to take responsibility for this. And part of the recommendation that would come out of this group will have options that wherever you sit in the organization, you'll be able to adapt into your particular role. Here are the next steps that we'll be engaged in over the course of this semester. The other group that this summer really leaned in and helped with our enrollment situation, Dr. Taka, is she in here? Will you stand up, please? Let's please give her a round of applause. On her own volition, she brought together her staff this summer to really help with those students who were currently with us, close to 1,500 of them, who were in developmental courses but had not registered for this fall. And the intent was to reach out to all of those students to ensure that they engaged and re-enrolled for this fall. And you'll see that that was a tremendous effort, over 4 contacts per student, trying to really convert them to enrolled students. And as far as I can, about 600 or so of those students were re-engaged. and so they enrolled in one class or more this semester. So a tremendous effort, and this is the kind of partnership we're going to need in order to bring our enrollment up to the standard we want. High Touch Campaign. Christopher Iran is in the room. He's probably serving students in the Enrollment Services building. This is an initiative that Christopher Iran introduced this last semester. There were a number of students who had made 1 or 2 contacts with the college, either through high schools or recruitment outreach, but had not converted to enrolled students. And so the effort was to reach out to those students and turn them to enrolled students. And again, tremendous cross-divisional collaboration to bring this about. And that's the outcome for the effort. Again, every student that we're able to bring onto the campus is a tremendous increase towards our enrollment. Here are some of the next steps. Christopher will come calling, asking you for your involvement. The I Will Graduate initiative we held last semester was the first time we'd had that initiative here, and we'll continue to grow that program, and we'll need all of your support. A couple of other people I want to recognize before I move on. Is Troy up in here? Okay. I want to recognize Troy and Jason. The collaboration between counseling department and student affairs division here at South Mountain is perhaps at the zenith of collaboration across the district. And it is due to Jason and Troy's efforts. So Jason, will you stand up? Let's recognize you. And Troy, thank you so much. Relative to our student success initiative, student conduct, BAT teams, a number of collaboration, and these 2 gentlemen really help us to move the needle. And the last person I want to recognize, Stephanie, come up here. Come on. This is a surprise to her. Stephanie Glossbrenner, I had the good fortune of having her in my student success class. I had her in my student success class her first semester here at South Mountain Community College. And this spring, she was elected as the incoming chair of our student governors. So please recognize Stephanie Glossbrenner. In the short time that she's been engaged in this role, she's already moved the needle in terms of student leadership on campus. They had an overnight retreat this summer. Buddy was kind enough to stay the night in this building with all of them. And then they had breakfast at High Hop afterwards. And they have a lot of plans for this fall and this academic year. So I wish you tremendous success. Thank you, Stephanie. And I think that's it for me. I wish you all successful academic year, and we'll do all we can to support you in your endeavors.
Thank you, Dr. Sola. Oh, thank you. Okay, I get 2 minutes according to the agenda. That's okay. We don't have a lot of updates. One special one. I just wanted to let you all know, Dr. Olson said earlier that as of May, we have 4 new appointed faculty. And can you please stand? We have Nancy Deegan, Dr. Don Thacker. We also have Lydia Johnson. And Stephanie Allen, where's she at? There you are. And Don, of course. So please welcome them and thank them. And I also want to say, have a great semester. Let's bottle the energy.
Thank you. Thank you, Tilly. All right, before we move on to our special guest speaker today, I do want to bring your attention over to the table against the windows over there. It is covered with beautiful South Mountain Community College swag. T-shirts, hoodies, these can be yours, people. And if you buy them, the proceeds will go directly to the General Scholarship Fund. So we're going to have a break at some point during the morning. Just go over there and buy them, and then you will be stylishly appareled. All right, now it's my pleasure to invite up Jeanette Schaefer, who leads our Center for Teaching and Learning, and she'll be introducing our guest speaker.
Thank you. So we have an excellent keynote speaker. His name is Jamie Cassip. He works with Google. He goes by the title Education Evangelist, and he actually lives right here in the Phoenix area. So he works with a lot of educational organizations around the world, around the U.S., and we'd like to welcome Jamie Cassip.
My slides are on there. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to try to keep the mic here. You guys can hear me okay? If you guys can't hear me at any point, just start yelling or shouting. So as they're setting up my presentation, I'll grab the clicker here. I've been at Google for 10 years. I've never done anything for 10 years, so this is exciting for me. Just in terms of a little bit of a background, we used to have a Google office here in Phoenix. I don't know if you guys remember that, long time ago, back in 2006. We had an office for 2 years. And one of the reasons why we had to close it was because we couldn't get enough computer science people at that time. There's a lot of issues, but that's where I started my career at Google. But one of the benefits from being there here on campus, at the ASU campus, was that we ended up launching Google Apps for Education at ASU. ASU was the first university to use Google Apps for Education. And Adrian Stainer was the CIO at the time, and so I worked with him. We launched Google Apps at ASU, and then kind of the rest is history. I joined the team full time and worked with a bunch of universities, including the Maricopa County school system, right? You guys are using Google Apps, and a bunch of other universities around the country. And then I worked with K-12 organizations around the world and launched Google Apps in the K-12. And today, we started with the 60,000 users at ASU, and today we have over 60 million users using Google Apps around the world. And then a couple years ago, I launched Chromebooks in education. In the middle of the iPad revolution, we launched Chromebooks, which was the stupidest idea in the world, but it worked. And so I worked for Google. I've been at Google for 10 years. My team is in Mountain View, California. I'm a New Yorker. I'm not allowed to live in California. This is the furthest I can go without being in California, right? You know what I'm saying? Right, like every time I land in California, I'll be there next Monday. Every time I land, I tweet out, I smell kale. And if you spend time in Northern California, you understand what that means. But I love being in Phoenix. It's my favorite city in the world when I get to spend some time here. And I've been here for 5 days, and I'm losing my mind already. But anyway, so let's start with some contact information. This is a bus tour that we did about 8 years ago. And there's Adrian and I when we launched Google Apps for Education. But if you're involved in education, if you're active in the discussions around education, both at the university level and at the K-12 level, you have to be on Twitter. And I know that's weird for the guy from Google to come up here and pitch Twitter, but that's where my network is. That's where a lot of great resources are. You don't have to know how to use Twitter. You don't have to, you can just pick 20 people to start following, and you can get some great information around education just with hashtags like EdChat or EdTech or Higher Ed. There's these great conversations that are continuously going on around education on Twitter, and there's some great people that are posting some great things. So in the education space, a lot of teachers, this is more on the K-12 side, there's some great networks that they have where they share resources with each other. So I wanted to put that out there. We also have our Google team also posts a lot of things on Twitter as well, and then we also have our Google Plus page where we post a lot of information. I also would encourage you, this is kind of the pitch part of the presentation, it's the only time I'll talk about Google, but I encourage you to visit our website. Again, it's weird for the guy from Google to say go visit our website, but we have some great resources available. If you do a search for Google for Education, you'll find our website. We have information not just about Google Apps and Chromebooks, but about information around computer science curriculum, CS First, award programs that we have, scholarship programs that we have, Summer of Code, and on and on and on of all the different types of programs that we have available, including professional development material as well. So if you're using Google Apps, for example, and you're struggling with how to use it or best practices or want some ideas, you go to our website. We have a bunch of great material out there available as well. So wanted to make sure you are aware of that. But let's start with this idea. And the energy in this room is great. Like, you know, it's no one is complaining about having to come into a building in the middle of their vacation. I love the energy in the room. It's great to see that kind of energy. Usually people are like, yay, we're back, right? I'm so excited, right? So it's great to see all the energy in here. And I think part of it is because this is the education space, right? Why education is important. I get a chance to travel all over the world and talk to education folks all over the world. And the common denominator is how important education is to their community, how important education is to their society, how important education is to what they do. It doesn't matter if you're in a small pueblo in Peru, or if you're in the middle of a big city like New York, where I was last week. The importance of education is evident. And it's because we recognize that education is what disrupts poverty, right? Education is what can change a family's destiny. And the passion for me is personal because I am a first-generation American. My mother had come to New York City from Argentina, escaping poverty, escaping government oppression, all the things that were going on in the late 60s in South America. She moved to New York as a young woman, looking for hope, looking for change. Ooh, that sounds like a campaign slogan. Looking for a new life, and I was born at a young age, but I was born in Hell's Kitchen, New York. Now, not the Hell's Kitchen, New York that you go visit today, with all the nice restaurants and bars. This is the Hell's Kitchen of the 70s and 80s. You did not go into our community. Like, you just would, if you showed up at the airport, they gave you a map and, like, with a big X, like, don't go here, right? It was not the nicest place to grow up. Again, I can tell you lots of stories about growing up in a place like Hell's Kitchen, but it wasn't the nicest place to grow up. I showed up at PS 111, and they said, welcome to PS 111, and I said, ¿qué? So I had to learn English, so I was one of those kids who had to go through the English learning programs in New York as well. And I grew up on welfare and food stamps and social services and all the things that kids like this are growing up with in our communities, not just in the United States, but all over the world. Better here than in many places in the world. But I wanted out of this community, and the only way to get out of this community was to play in the NBA or to get my education. I don't know why you're laughing. I had good game. I could have made it 2 more inches, and I would have done it. So I put on my reality distortion glasses, like many of your students face, and graduated from high school, went to college, and why I'm out here is because I got a scholarship to go to ASU for graduate school, and that's why I came out here. And so I was able to get out of that community. And there are milestone moments in your career. Like I said, I've been at Google for 10 years, and I've had some tremendous experiences. But I had an experience last summer that, if you want to, like, track your life and put these highlight moments in your life, this was one of the main ones. And it's because the First Lady of the United States emailed me and said, can you come to the White House and talk to about 150 students about the importance of college, about continuing their education, about why it's important. And these were students from all over the country that were at risk, but they were doing well, and they were graduating high school, and we wanted to keep them going through college, whether it's community college or four-year college or technical programs or whatever it was. And so the First Lady asked me to come to the White House to speak to 150 kids, and I said, let me check my calendar. No. You're like, you drop everything, right, and you go. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I thought I was showing up at the White House, and it would be in a room like this, and set up like this. I had no idea. I had been to the White House before, but to the other side of the White House. I was escorted into the East Wing of the White House, and reality, there's like a time machine. Reality changes when you walk into the East Wing of the White House. You go from being outside, walking in D.C. into 1875. You're walking into the red hallway, and all of a sudden you notice the presidential portraits on the wall, and you see that Kennedy portrait, that famous portrait where he's looking down as he's doing his portrait, and the Reagan portrait, and the Bush portrait, and you're saying to the person who's guiding you into the White House, you're, hey, look, it's the Kennedy portrait. Like he had never noticed it before. And then the next thing out of your mouth is like, is it real? And you just feel like a complete idiot because you're walking through this. So all of a sudden I'm in the east wing of the White House, and I'm walking through the gold room, and I'm walking through the red room, and the blue room, and the green room, and I'm in the east wing of the White House. And like I could have stolen something. Nobody was following me around. And I realized that this event was actually happening in the east room of the White House. And this is the place where they have all the main events. The president speaks in this room. Just last week when the Prime Minister of Singapore was in the White House, that's where they had their joint press conference. And I'm sitting there watching and going, I know where that room is. Like I know where that door is. And so this is where I was. And so I walk into and they had me waiting in the green room that's next to the East Room, and I'm standing there in the doorway. There's a doorway where they announce people into the room, and I'm standing there waiting to be introduced, and I'm pouring sweat, and I'm in my suit, which I'm not used to, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking out the window. I'm looking out the window of the inside of the White House at the Washington Monument, right, through the bulletproof glass, and I'm standing there, I'm looking at the hardwood floor, and it's all worn in, and I think about all the people who have stood in that spot, right? All the important people who stand in that spot, walking into the East Room for the hundreds of years that we've had that room. And I walk in, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, doesn't this look like one of those pictures that you get at the fair? Where they green screen you on a thing? Because it still doesn't look real to me. And I walk in, and I go up to the podium, and I didn't have a chance to prep the room. So I go up to the podium, and I look out, and I notice that the doors to the back of the East Room are open. And there's that red carpet, where the president comes down and says, we killed bin Laden, and then disappears, that room. And you're standing there going like, I'm inside the television set. That's what's happening, right? Like I'm inside the television set. And I look down at that microphone and how powerful that microphone is, and all the cameras that are in the back, and all the video equipment that's going on, and the bright rooms, and yet the street hoodlum kid in me just wants to scream Baba Booey right into that microphone. And I was invited back. I was invited back again this year because I didn't do that. I still have my job because I didn't. But that's the power that education has, right? You can take a street kid from Hell's Kitchen, New York, and put him into the East Room of the White House, right? That's the power that education does. It disrupts poverty. It changes lives. But the important thing that we have to keep in mind is that the impact that we have for our students goes on for generations and generations and generations. That you're going to impact students that you will never meet in your entire life. Right? You can teach for 30 years, and you're going to have an impact on students that you will never meet. Because I have my kids, and these are them. Yes, I have a 23-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Yeah, I can only handle one child at a time. Just one, right? When they're all together, it drives me insane, like this picture. Actually, they have never been together. I photoshopped this. No, they're. But my 23-year-old graduated from college last year, and we never talked about college. It never came up. It was never a conversation that we had. My 15-year-old is doing a dual enrollment program right now as a sophomore in high school. We never talked about college because college wasn't something that was like an option, right? Because there's, because I went to college, because her mother went to college, because people in her life went to college, right? She's way too competitive to ever live in a world where I have an advanced degree and she doesn't, right? She wants to go to graduate school because I went to graduate school. Her mother's a teacher in Mesa, and she went to, and I'm going to tell her about all the crap you guys talked about Mesa. And she went to graduate school, and so she expects that she's going to graduate school, but she expects I'm going to pay for it. But That's a good problem to have, right? That's the power that education has, that it goes on for generations and generations and generations. And they don't know. My daughter just spent 5 months in South America working for a nonprofit, traveling around Chile and Peru and Bolivia and Argentina and countries that I haven't even been to. And they don't know that that's because of my 4th grade teacher, my 6th grade teacher, my 9th grade teacher, my college teachers, all the teachers in my life. That's why they get to do that. That's the real power of education. And if that's true, then we got to take it seriously. And we got to make sure that we're putting the best effort into it, because it's the most critical thing that we can spend our time and resources on. And so what we need to figure out is, first thing we need to do is stop the rhetoric around education is broken. Right? I'm not on that bandwagon. I'm not on the education is broken bandwagon, obviously for lots of reasons, but mostly because I understand the history of education. And if you understand the history of education, you realize what an amazing job we've done in education over the last 100 and 150 years overall, right? The graduation rate in this country in 1910 was 8%. We're doing better than that. The content that we teach our kids is 1,000 times stronger than it was when even 40 years ago. Like most parents who aren't in education won't admit the grade level that they have to stop helping their kids with their homework because it's too hard for them, right? For me, it was 4th grade. Like once my kids were done with 4th grade, I'm like, you're on your own. I don't know that. Right? So it's not that, the United States is a superpower because of the education system that we created. I travel around the world and all I hear is, how can I get to the United States to get my education? How can I go to the United States to continue my education? It's still the most powerful thing that we have. And so it's not that it's necessarily broken. I think the misunderstanding isn't that the education system is broken, it's that the world has changed. And that we no longer live in the world that was created by the education system that we built 150 years ago. And so it's not that we have to start fresh, it's what we need to do is do what our forefathers in education did 150 years ago and ask ourselves, what's the right education system that we need for the economy that we face? Because they did an amazing job building a really good education system for a manufacturing-based, factory-based economy that we had. Our job now is to do the same thing, except now for a knowledge-based, network-based, global economy that we face. And that's the difference, because we have to recognize that we do not live in this world anymore. And we have to come to realization that that's where we are with things. Now, the role of technology is big in all of this, because for most of history, the closer you were to a book, the more education you had. Right? And this is still true in a lot of parts of the world. The closer you are to books, the more resources you have, the more education you can get, plain and simple. This was true in my lifetime, and some of you are old like me, and it was true in your lifetime. When I needed information, when I needed resources, when I needed to learn, I had to go to this place called the library. And this library was on 51st Street and 10th Avenue. And this is where all my resources were for book reports, for projects that I'm working on, for reference material, for the encyclopedias that were in there, for all the resources and information that was in there. This was my place to go. And it closed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and basketball practice would go to 4:45. Or it wasn't open on the weekends. Or if I could memorize the 17-digit number in the card catalog system to go find the book that I'm looking for, because there was never any pencils by the card catalog. You had to memorize that number. You would go and the book wasn't there, because it wasn't my library. It was everyone's library. It was everyone who went to PS 111, PS 17, PS 45, all the schools that were in Hell's Kitchen. This was everyone's resource center. And today, we have all the world's information at our fingertips. We have 100 million Columbus libraries at our fingertips. And we're not taking advantage of it yet. We're not. We're not taking advantage of how the world has shifted beneath our feet because we haven't even recognized it yet. How do we take advantage of having all the world's information at our fingertips? How do our lessons change? How do what we do for our students change given this new world that we live in, given that we have all the world information at our fingertips? Because we've been talking about technology in education forever, right? Again, understanding the history of education, it was Thomas Edison in the early 1900s who said, motion pictures are going to revolutionize education. All we're going to have to do is put people in a big room and put on a movie and they'll learn. Then television was going to revolutionize education. And computers, we've been talking about computers and revolutionizing education with computers since the 60s. I took a computer class when I was in 9th grade because computers were important to my future, even though I'd never seen a computer before. I took a programming class, and some of you might have taken this class, but I learned how to program in BASIC, and I wrote about 5,000 lines of code. It took me about 9 months to write this, to make a bird fly across the screen on a Commodore 64. Anyone else do that? I'm like, the connection between how this is important in the future and that program that I learned how to write didn't make any sense to me, but I had to take it. So we've been talking about computers forever. Why is it different this time? A couple of reasons. First, we have so much research and so much information about what good learning looks like that we've been able to collect over the last 40 years, 10 years, 5 years. Some great research on what good learning looks like, how it can be engaging, how it can be relevant, how it can be personal. Technology is finally at the point where we can take advantage of this, where we don't have to create anything new. We can just go back into the research last 5, 10 years and say, what is good learning? What does engaging learning look like? What does personal learning look like? And we can ask ourselves, well, how do we take advantage of the technology that we have to bring these things to life, to create the new kinds of models that we need to bring these things to life? So we know what works. We haven't been able to take advantage of what we know because of the structures that we've created. Now we can take advantage of those things, and you're starting to see that happen in school systems all over the world. So that's one. Two, unlike when I took that computer class in 9th grade when I hadn't seen a computer, technology has wrapped itself around the core of our lives, and we don't even recognize it anymore. It's something that just happens, and we don't even think about it anymore. For example, it's 10 o'clock in the morning on is it today Tuesday? I have no idea where I am. Tuesday. How many of you have not used technology today? How many of you have not used the web? All right, one person. That guy's kid has been playing Pokemon Go all day. Or my favorite answer is, nope, I have not used the web. All I did was check my email. That's my favorite answer. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but I've heard that answer before. How long did this take us? The iPhone, if you have an iPhone, is 9 years old. The BlackBerry, God forbid you have a BlackBerry. You're embarrassed to pull that thing out in public. That's 12 years old, right? And he's got a BlackBerry in the back there. Yeah. Do you remember we used to have to call the internet with our home phones, and the internet was busy. And you were okay with that, right? Yeah, I tried to call the internet today. It was busy. Did you try another number? Like, we had a list of numbers to call the internet with. And that was our experience to get online. And what was your reward when you got online? It was a bunch of pages with words to links that had words to other links that had other words. And that was so exciting to you. And every once in a while, someone would post a picture, and like, you lose your mind. Like, there's a picture coming. I gotta wait 20 minutes, but there's a picture coming. And today, what's your expectation with technology? All right? I go to a lot of technology conferences, I go to a lot of education conferences, and I am a big fan of teachers, and I think teachers, again, I got 3 kids, I can only deal with one at a time. I think teachers are the most understanding, most patient people in the world, and I've seen you turn into a mob at conferences when the Wi-Fi is too slow. Like cursing and spitting and everything. You know, I myself have an expectation that I should be able to work at a reasonable rate while I'm traveling at 40,000 feet in the sky and flying at 535 miles an hour. I get frustrated when the Wi-Fi is too slow because the YouTube video won't load while I'm traveling at that speed. And that's only going to get better, right? So our expectation of technology has changed. And if that's true for us, a group that was minding our own business when the internet showed up, What does that mean for a generation of kids who don't know any better? A generation of kids who don't know what the world looked like before Google, who don't know what the world looked like before laptops and smartphones and tablets, who don't know what the world looked like before Wi-Fi. Tell a 10-year-old kid that you're going to go to a place that doesn't have Wi-Fi, and they're like, what? What? Are we going camping? Where are we going? And here we are having battles with them about the use of technology in our classes, and we're trying to get them to learn the way we learned when they're learning in a completely different way. And that's the most important factor in all of this. I'm not saying that just because they're born with technology, that makes them some kind of superhuman, that makes them some kind of master, that makes them some kind of like brain maniac that has some born with some kinds of different skills that we weren't born with, right? It's the most insane idea that I ever heard. Digital natives is the most insane idea. That just because they're born with technology around them, that they know how to use this technology. In the same way that I'm sure that all of us were born when there were trucks around, therefore we know how to drive trucks. I'm not going to use 1,000 analogies that are like that. But what to keep in mind, and what we must remind ourselves of all the time, and almost like write it on a Post-it and stick it on our laptops, is this idea that how they think about learning is different than the way we think about learning, and that's what's different. Not better, not worse, but different. Right? This is a picture of my 15-year-old when he was 13 years old, coming into the living room. I'm minding my own business, watching something on TV, and he comes in to show me his lines of code because he taught himself how to program in Java. Never asked me, never brought it up to me, never said, hey, what do you think a good place to learn how to code is? I work at Google, and he didn't ask me. He taught himself how to code. They think about learning in a different way than we think about learning. I tell this other story about how my daughter, I'm buying her, it's a bribe story, but I'm buying her a ukulele when we're in Hawaii because she doesn't like to fly and she gets scared of flying, so I have to bribe her with something. You know, I use traditional parenting skills. And we're walking out of the ukulele store, and I didn't realize that this thing was going to cost me $100. And we're walking out of the ukulele store, and I say to her, again, this is a couple years ago, given the role that I have at Google, I said to her, hey, do you want to pick up an instruction book or video so you can learn how to play the ukulele? And she looked at me with that like teenage disdain look. They're like, oh my God, you're so irrelevant. You know, that look. How is she going to learn to play the ukulele? Right, she's going to watch YouTube videos. They think about, doesn't make it better, doesn't make it worse. They think about learning in a different way. We have to recognize not what their issue is, what our issue is. And our issue is we waited for people to teach us. We waited for official material. We waited for shrink-wrapped packaged material that was certified by someone with, you know. These kids don't do that. They're constantly learning, continuously learning, picking things up from different places. How do we take advantage of that? So let's talk about this generation a little bit, because they are different in our mental ability. I would make sure no one says to you that because this generation is born with technology, that somehow they can multitask, and they're just naturally gifted at technology, and then they can do 3 things at the same time. They can't. They do 3 things at the same time poorly, just like we do 3 things at the same time poorly. They are exactly like us. But the culture they're growing up with, the things that they're growing up makes them different. We have to recognize this. And they get a bad rep, right? We often talk about this generation as like the unattached generation, the generation that doesn't talk to you, doesn't look at you, the generation that is always looking down at their phones and they're not paying attention to you at all. And one of my favorite internet pictures is this one. You mean like this? We have to recognize that, you know, a little bit of what we do is that these kids in their rock and roll thing, right? And we have to make sure we avoid that and take advantage of that, the fact that they think about learning in a different way. And our job isn't to battle with them. Our job is to take advantage of this and to teach them, because they're not strong digital leaders. They need to become digital leaders. They need to know how to search, how to vet, how to make sure something is credible. They need to know how to dive deeper into research. They need to know, this is a generation of kids who are, and this is our fault, but growing up, if it's not on the first page of the first Google search, they are like, I give up, right? We got to teach them how to dive deeper and look for things and to make things credible. How to be safe online, how to be secure online, how to, all the things that we want to make sure that they're being strong digital leaders on. And if they're not learning how to do this in our education system, where are they going to learn how to do this, right? So we want to make sure that we're building that. Now, when we look at this generation, Northwestern did this great study a year ago, and I've taken some of those stats and put them in here. And there's some other great research, and we're just starting to come up with some better research around this generation and who they are and the things that they care about and the things that they think. But I want to present a couple of these ideas to you. The first one being, this idea that we ask, we talk about education as a place where kids are preparing for their future jobs. We talk about the future workforce. We talk about the future labor force. We talk about all these different things, and 42% of them don't want to work for you at all. They want to do their own thing. And only 10% of Americans run their own businesses right now. But think about the possibility, and I see this every single day, with 4 kids picking up their laptops, getting some Amazon server space, and starting their own business. Every day I see that. Right? Here we are as employers waiting for them to show up, and 40% of them aren't going to show up at all. They're going to go do their own thing. And so how do we make sure that if that's true, that we're helping them build the skills that they need for that? Entrepreneurial skills, social justice skills, skills around things that they need to focus on that adds value to the community, those types of things. How do we make sure that we're doing those things for them and that they're building the skills that they need? 64% worry about jobs, about their careers, and that's partly why they want to go do their own thing. They want to control their destiny because of their experiences. Keep in mind, this is the generation that, we've been talking about a recession since, 2007, 2008, right? We've been at war since 2001, right? And my 15-year-old has no idea what this country is like, not at war, right? My 15-year-old has no idea, has never heard a positive message about our economy, ever, in the 15 years that he's been around. So they worry about jobs, they worry about their careers, they worry about what they're going to do. They've also seen their parents lose their jobs and have to work 2 or 3 different jobs. They've seen their siblings go to college and struggle through college and come back and live in the basement for a year, right? They've seen those things, and so they worry about these things. This is a generation who spends a lot of time online, and I think the 52% that play video games at least an hour is soft, right? I think that it's higher than that. But again, it's changing the perspective. We think of video games as Pac-Man, right? Mindless games where things are going around a board eating things. Have you played their video games? You can't. Have you tried Minecraft? I was done at, my kid sat me down to try to play League of Legends, and I have no idea what's happening on that screen. My brain can't process that information at that speed. And I get it. It's hard as even as parents, for those of us who have teenagers, I walk into my kid's room, and he's online with his friends in New Jersey and in New Zealand, and he's running a team, and he's running a server, and he's doing this, and he's telling people, okay, you guys go here, you guys go there. And as a parent, I go in there because I'm like, go outside and play with the stick, right? Like I get it, right? We struggle. But we have to, again, try to see it from their perspective, see what they see and see the things that they're experiencing. They see gaming in a completely different way. They see it as a social interaction. They see it as some of us see gaming as a place to escape to. Right? I don't know if you guys watch House of Cards, right? But the whole thing of House of Cards is he goes down in his basement and plays video games because it distracts them, right? These kids see it as a social interaction. They see their friends online. They play with them online. And we have to make sure that we recognize that and don't blow them off because they play games online because we grew up with Pac-Man and we think that's what video games are, and they're not, right? 81% of them believe that college is important. And this is compared to 72% of Americans who believe the same thing, right? And what's funny about that number is the people who are screaming about how not everyone needs to go to college are usually people with college degrees, which is a little scary. 81% of them believe that college is very important, but they also understand that they think that a good chunk of them thinks that we need to significantly change the way they do things in college. And a lot of that comes from the experiences that they're having in K-12, and we'll get that into that in a second. But 72% of them want to design their own course of study. And here's the interesting thing is that you can do that, right? So this is a marketing issue where kids think that college is, you go to college and you're a psychology major, you're a political science major, you're a computer science major. They don't recognize, they don't know, we haven't marketed to them, we haven't told them, come to college and create your own course of study. Build the curriculum that you want to build. Because again, this is a generation of kids who can go online and design their own sneakers, and design their own backpacks, and design their own jeans, and anything else, everything is customizable to them. How do we take advantage of that? How do we give them the opportunity to design their own course of study, to have the autonomy to do that? Want to make sure that we're doing that as well. 82% of them want to make sure that they're going to go to college and end up being okay on the other side of college with a job and a career, which is, again, a little different perspective than the way we did. Most of us went to college. We didn't matter what we majored in. We knew that we'd be okay on the other side, right? Most people that I know are not working in the career field of what their major is. It's my favorite question to ask people when I meet like successful, like, what was your major? You know, sociology, right? Like, you know, and they're like now running a financial services company, right? And it didn't matter. It does matter to this generation because of all the things that they're experiencing. So how do we present that to them? If you do this, you can get here. If you want to get here, this is your path to get there. They recognize that they want to be able to see the outcomes that college can give them. So how do we make sure that we're doing that? Because of the different things that they're experiencing, right? For example, we're in K-12, and I come to you from spending most of my time in K-12, there's a lot of innovation happening in the K-12 space. And it's really cool to see. And I'll talk a little bit about what's happening here in the Valley, but they're experiencing things in a different way. For example, one of the things that I often talk about, and I talk to teachers in K-12 about, is this idea that we need to ask new questions. We still ask kids, for example, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? People ask my kid that question all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? That question doesn't make sense anymore. It used to make sense when we had like 10 jobs, right? And you can be like a firefighter or a policeman or an astronaut or an architect, right? You can be a category. That doesn't work today. 60% of the kids in kindergarten today are going to be working in jobs that do not exist right now. We create new kinds of jobs and new kinds of roles every single day. And so we got to start asking new kinds of questions. And so, for example, the question that I want to ask students, and I ask students all the time, isn't what do you want to be when you grow up, it's what problem do you want to solve? What problem spins in your head? Because the follow-up question is the most important question. What do you need to learn to solve that problem? What are the knowledge, the skills, and abilities that you need to have to solve that problem? Who's solving that problem now? Can you start collaborating with them? Can you start adding value to what they're doing? Can you add to their research? What blogs should you be reading? What websites should you be at? What research is out there, and on and on and on? Because they have all the world's information at their fingertips. They can start diving into this, right? What classes can you take? Online, offline. Why can't you take free classes and paid classes? Why can't you study computer science and psychology at the same time? And all the other options that they have because they have all the world's information at their fingertips. This is a picture of our Google Science Fair winners. And the girl there is one of my favorite winners because she wasn't your typical science student, but there was a problem that she wanted to have, that she wanted to solve. She had a friend, a very good friend who lived in the Philippines. And that's another thing about this generation. We kind of make fun of the fact that they have friends online, like they're not real friends. I've heard parents say that to their kids all the time, right? Again, because we were stuck with the 5 kids who lived on our block, it doesn't mean that they have to do the same thing. Right? They can have friends all over the world. And one of her best friends lived in the Philippines, and she was upset that her friend didn't have electricity, and her friend couldn't read at night, and her friend couldn't do homework at night. And so she went and invented a flashlight that's powered by the heat of the human hand. And she's 15 years old. I almost hesitate talking about the guy next to her because you know, the grand prize winner, he invented something that's remarkable. He invented the ability to create bioplastics out of banana peels, but he's 16, so he's a little bit of a slacker. I don't know what he's been doing for a whole year, but the potential and the capability and the capacity that our kids have is tremendous given the world that they see in front of them. How do we take advantage of that? The other thing that we talk about in education a lot is failure, right? This idea that we need to teach kids how to fail, and I totally get it, and I understand where that comes from, but we don't live in the world of failures and successes anymore. And we need to recognize that. That's old world. We live in a world of constant iteration, consistent iteration. There is no end point. There is no, you know, you don't get like all giddy about new and improved anymore, right? You know, now you look at new and improved, like, of course it's new and improved. There should be always new and improved. Right? That's the world that we live in. So how do we make sure our kids are building real iteration skills, that they're constantly changing, constantly improving, constantly doing things in that space? We want to make sure that we're building real collaboration skills in schools. We talk about collaboration in education, but we don't mean it. Because education is set up as a single player sport. It's my kid who's responsible for his grades, his tests, his assignments, and then we say, good luck, go work with others. Imagine as teachers, you hand out a test, and at the end of the test, 2 kids come up to you saying, we decided to combine our skill set and work on this together. What would your reaction be? We're teaching our kids that collaboration is cheating, when we should be teaching them real collaboration skills. The ability to listen, the ability to ask good questions, the ability to change your mind, the ability to build consensus. Nothing gets done in I told you to go do this, go do it world anymore. You have to have collaboration skills through building consensus. That's the thing. One of the key things that we look for at Google is leadership skills. And we don't mean, are you a good boss? Can you order people around? Can you tell people what to do and they go do it? Can you scare them? No, that's not what we're looking for when we say leadership. We're looking for collaboration. We're looking for consensus building. We're looking for those are the types of skills that kids need. So how do we make sure that our kids are building those through the projects that they're working on in schools? And we have to stop back to the asking kids the wrong questions. We have to start thinking about the questions that we do ask them and the things that we do want to test them on and the things that we want to assess them on in a completely different way. Because we don't have to be the Google in a room anymore. And part of that means, and this is a debate that I get into sometimes, is the memorizing versus not memorizing. Should we get kids to memorize things? Of course we should have kids memorize things. I have a 2-year-old. Every night, and tonight in the bathtub, I'm gonna give her a bath, and I got those letters that stick to the wall of the bathtub, and I'm gonna pull out the A, and I pull out the A, and I go, what's this? And she goes, A, and I beam with pride. And I pull out the B, and I go, what's this? And she goes, A. I'm like, okay. And then I pull out the C, and I go, what's this? She goes, A. I'm like, okay, we're gonna work on this. I want her to memorize letters. I don't want her Googling letters. That's not the debate. The debate is how do we ask new kinds of questions? My 15-year-old in high school last year had to memorize the capitals of all the Spanish countries in the world for a Spanish class, right? It's a typical thing that we do for our kids. And he went around for like 2 days and memorized all the different countries and the capitals, and he got 100. And then on the last day of school, I asked him to name me the Spanish countries again and the capitals, and he got like 3. Right? It's about asking new kinds of questions of our students. I saw a recent thing back in February. One of my favorite stats is that 7% of Americans can name you the first 4 presidents of the United States. Okay. Ooh, the vibe in the room just changed. The energy in this room just changed. Ooh, because I can point to one of you, the power of having a microphone. I can point to one of you and ask you to name me the first 4 presidents of the United States. And if you don't know, everyone's going to make fun of you because you didn't know who the first 4 presidents are. Even though they didn't know who the first 4 presidents are, they just didn't get called on. Or I can give everyone in this room 30 seconds, and all of you can tell me who the first 4 presidents are. Information has no value. It's a commodity in its purity. It's just a commodity. What is valuable is what you do with that information and how you take that information and convert it into intelligence. So it's not who are the first 4 presidents. The better question is, what would this country look like if John Adams was the first president of the United States? What would the country look like if Jefferson was the first president? That question alone would create a whole semester. You get things, you can, so you get kids to understand things at a deeper level, and I bet you 20 years from now, they will remember who the first 4 presidents are. So we want to make sure that we're starting to see this in our schools, in K-12 and in college, these more student-centric learning models where students are driving and learning in collaborative ways, where technology is not the silver bullet, but technology is there to enable and support what they do in their classes. So we're starting to see that happening all over the place. And so what I think we need more than anything is this culture shift, to think about things from a different perspective, because there is no future classroom. I get this question all the time. What does the future classroom look like? There is no future classroom. It's what we do in our classes tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And this culture of innovation and iteration, that we're constantly building things. We will need to be able to build these competency-based education models where you can actually see, not through a test, not through a multiple choice test, not through things that kids memorize, but through competencies that they can display, that you can assess, that they can actually see, you can actually see what they're doing. We want to make sure that we're highlighting the innovation, the entrepreneurship in higher education that we can bring them by being able to have them personalize their education systems, to personalize their models, to create their kind of course of studies, the things that we already do in higher education that most kids don't know. And here's the good news. This is just the very, very beginning. We are at the very beginning of this. This is exactly where we need. We're not behind, we're exactly where we need to be. Technology is finally to the point where we can start taking advantage of it. It wasn't that long ago that we were calling the internet with our home phones in the kitchen. Today, that's different. Technology is finally to the point where it's affordable, where you can actually do things with it. We're at the very, very beginning of this. I'm part of a team, I don't know if you've heard of a school that we're building in downtown Phoenix called the Phoenix Coding Academy. And what we did there, this is an idea that I pitched to the superintendent 3 years ago, is to build a new kind of model, an inquiry-based model where kids are driving their learning through good questions, and that what they're going to learn is computer science, not as a track, not as a degree, but as core to everything that they do. So they're learning computer science in history class, and in English class, and in art class, and in every other class. That the projects that they're working on are computer science-based, because computer science is the language of the future. And that they're building those skills in the school, and we're doing this in a passion-based way because we didn't look at grades, we didn't look at test scores, we looked at passion. What do you want to do with computer science? What problem do you want to solve? What do you want to focus on? And we're bringing these kids in who have that passion, even if they're, they have bad grades, whatever that means. I was one of those kids, by the way. So we want to make sure that we're focused on that. And this school is getting a lot of reaction, it's getting good, but it's not some special model, it's not some model that we created out of the sky, it's not something that came from Stanford or some teacher college somewhere. It's literally 8 teachers and a principal with some autonomy and some time to create a curriculum that's different. And that's what they're building, and they're going to experiment and do things differently, and we're doing things like there's no homework, there are no grades, projects aren't semester projects, the projects can go on for 4 years. Right? We had a conversation this summer about intellectual property. Who owns, what if one of these kids creates the next Facebook, right, inside the school? Who owns that? Right? So we're having because we want them to, not simulations, real projects, real problems to solve. And the kids are so happy to be there, and it's just tremendous to watch. But we're at the very beginning of this. This is one school, and there's many like this that are coming up. But you got to keep in mind, in 1995, 1% of the world was online. That wasn't that long ago. It took 10 years to get to the first billion people, 5 years to get to the second billion, and 4 years to get to the third billion. And even today, there's only 42% of the world online. So we're at the very beginning of this. And those of us who live in a world where we have fast internet access and computers and laptops and the internet are at an advantage in a globally competitive world. And we're just starting to see this happen. It's you guys in the room that are creating what those future learning models are going to look like for the next generation. So no pressure. So as I close out and you guys think about the school year, I want you to think about one thing. I want you to think about a 5-year-old and all the things that a 5-year-old does. And then I want you to think about whatever your latest and greatest technology is. Whether it's your MacBook, your new skinny MacBook, your MacBook 3, I don't know what MacBooks are up to, but your Chromebook, your iPad, your iPad Pro, your iPad Pro extra large, the one that's like this big. I'm going to the Grand Canyon next month, and I can't wait to be at the Grand Canyon and see people like this. I'm going to push them right off the edge. I want you to think about whatever your for me, it's this Nexus 6P, and I know you have one. We were just talking about this is the latest and greatest technology that came from Google. It's their latest Nexus phone. I'm already bored with this, and a new phone is coming out in a couple months, but this is the latest and greatest technology from Google and Apple and all the other things. And I want you to think about the latest and greatest and hottest technology and the thing that sometimes you're afraid of, and realize that this is the worst technology that 5-year-old will ever see in their life. This is their Commodore 64. In 20 years, they're going to be shopping through a thrift store, and they're going to find this in the 50-cent box. Because there are going to be thousands of them all over thrift stores in America, and they're going to find this in the 50-cent box, and they're like, oh, I have to buy this. Because I want to put it on my shelf like a museum piece, the way I know some of you have old technology on your shelves like museum pieces. Mine is a StarTech 3000, a working StarTech phone that's about 20 years old. And they're going to remember, like, oh, my dad used to have one of these. And they're going to look at it, and they're going to look at all the ports, and like, oh, you know, you guys, because nobody shops in thrift stores by themselves, you guys, he used to have to plug this into the wall. Are you serious? Yeah, seriously, like there was a cord that came out of it, and it like plugged into the wall for like hours. Those are the kids who are coming into our school system this fall. Do we have the right structures for them? Do we have the right infrastructure for them? Do we have the right process? Do we have the right learning models for them, given the future that they face? Do we have the right education systems so that they can battle and they can win in a network-based, knowledge-based global economy? And do we have the right infrastructure in place for them so that they can solve the problems that they want to solve? That's our calling. That's what we need to do. Thank you guys very much. You want to take questions? Yeah, I got time. You guys can cut me off if any questions that you guys have about anything. Yes.
I love Google.
You love Google. I'll repeat the question.
I inhale everything that Google comes out with.
Okay.
I think I've done everything you said. I came around in the mid-70s, got my MLS in 76, and never looked at a book again because I can't stand it.
Sure.
But I think Google search is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the bread and butter, the line. And I'm still having trouble. I mean, I learned all the search strategies, and now Google is using artificial intelligence
Sure.
to outguess
Mm-hmm.
what it is that I'm really looking for. I mean, this is really hard in the classroom because
Mhm.
I'm trying to teach students the importance of it, not, how to exclude things from your search. Google's busy, spoon feeding a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I'm wondering, I've asked you this question before,
Yeah.
actually, and I don't think you wanted to answer it.
Well,
You probably don't want to.
so the question is, so you're asking about search algorithms and personalization of search results, right? So here's the bottom line on that, is that for basic search, Google was fine, right? But most Googlers will tell you that if you want to rate search, if you rated search, it's between a 1 and 10, we would rate it about a 2. It's not anywhere near where you want it to be, right? And part of that is you can't find what you're looking for, right? And it's getting better. If I want to find out, what year did Alexander Hamilton serve as Secretary of Treasury? I should just have a number, should just be able to pop up. I shouldn't have to have web pages that I dive into. So that's what we're working on, is to get you to the simpler answers. To get into real complex questions, to get into real things, Google will never solve that. It'll be about diving deeper and teaching advanced search skills. So I think that's where the difference is that you'll get spoon-fed basic information like what's on Olympics tonight. I shouldn't have to be a deep searcher to find out what the primetime schedule is on Olympics tonight. But if I want to find out, well, where did the Olympics come from? How did it start? Tell me about the history of the Olympics. That is where you get deeper, and that's how you got to teach kids. That's where you focus. And so it really focuses on the questions that you're asking more so than the results that you're getting. Yeah. Other questions? You guys really want to buy sweatshirts, don't you? Yeah.
This is Phoenix, and, you know, we gotta love it. I mean, we're creating Phoenix ourselves.
Right.
But we only basically have 2 companies that will give us lines, or that's the impression that I have, and they're both horrible. They both have under 2 on the ratings. And Google had talked about bringing fiber here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of wondering, is there any hope that a company like Google could help us get out of this mess where we only have 2 choices and both of them break?
Yeah. No, Google's on, Phoenix is on, I brought Phoenix on the list for Google Fiber.
Off the list. Every time I Google it,
All right.
it's on.
No, we're on the list. It's just, so here's the thing, is that when it comes to the resources that we have to bring fiber into communities, we don't look at, one city, we look at the entire country and where can we have the biggest bang for our buck and what we're doing. One of the biggest problems with Phoenix and Scottsdale and Tempe is that they're new cities. And a lot of what we built was underground, right? And the older cities have all these telephone poles, and so it's so much easier to lay fiber cables on telephone poles and plug them into connectors. Where in Phoenix, we got to dig, we got to go deep, and we got to break ground up, and it just gets a lot more complicated and a lot more expensive. And so it's a question of when's the right time to do that. But it's on the list. We're going to get there. It's just a question of when it's going to happen. Now, at the same time, just the presence of us being here and the idea that we're coming already has caused some of the competition to change, right? So you have Cox offering.
Service still is really hard.
Yeah, but I don't know if our service is going to be any better. But but in terms of just the actual gigabyte, they're now offering gigabyte service in some communities, and they're building out their gigabyte network. So just the presence of another player in the space creates that opportunity to build that up, and we won't be the only ones.
I've heard from somebody inside SRP that SRP is thinking.
And SRP or utilities can offer fiber, right? It's not the thing.
Who would want to partner with them? Because they've got they own the underground.
Yeah, we've talked to them. We're talking to them. So it's the key thing here, again, to think about fiber versus not fiber versus everything else. It's not even about 1 gig fiber. It's about 100 gig fiber, right? You think 1 gig fiber is fast? That's going to be dial-up service in 10 years.
I can go back to when Phoenix couldn't do full motion video because only one company had T1 carrier.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
how long that was.
Yeah, I get it. Yes, sir.
You talk about giving students the ability to design their own program across universities. Do you have examples of colleges and
No, and that's the problem, is that there aren't a lot. I'll give you 2 examples of that. So one, when I was in college 100 years ago, I said I want to be a political science major, but I want to study, a public policy. And so I kind of created my own coursework, and I sat down with my advisor and I said, these are the classes that I want to take. Will that meet the standards that you guys are looking for? And they said yes, and they signed off on it. And some of it was independent study. So my point is that we can already do that. I could have done that 40 years ago when I was in college. We can do that today already. So it's just more about putting that in front of kids so that they know that they can do that. Where they don't understand, right? We assume that they know they can do that. They don't know is the first point. And the second part of that is this idea of the extension of that relationship, right? So I talked to Michael Crow about how he abandoned my daughter. And he looked at me funny. And I said, she graduated from ASU last year, and she has not heard from you since. Right? Well, all of us who went to college, we graduated, and we're like, yes, we're done. We never have to learn again. I did that. Nothing could be further from the truth, right? So how do you maintain a relationship with your students after they leave? Why isn't someone contacting my daughter through all the technology that we have and all the algorithms we have and all the data analytics that we have to say, hey, it's been a year since you graduated. What are you working on? And for her to be able to fill out an easy form and says, I'm doing digital photography at this company, and them to be able to spit back saying, hey, there are 5 other graduates that are also working in this space. Or here's some research that you might be interested in. Or here's a subscription that you might want. Or here's a class that you can take because the class that you took has been advanced since then, and here's another class that you can take online. And that goes on forever and ever and ever. So it's a partnership that we have with our students. We're not doing anything near that. Oh yeah. Well, this was after she graduated. He already gets most of my money. Okay. Yes?
And when will you be opening your
It's opening. It opened last week. I haven't had a chance. I'm going to be there Friday to go talk to the students, but it's open.
And how do you select the students for it?
Well, it's an open school. So the other thing, it's not a charter school. So just to make sure I'm clear, this is a regular high school in Phoenix Union District, and the students were selected through an application process like any other school. But we did not exclude kids based on grades or based on test scores. We just wanted to know that they wanted to do computer science, because a lot of the work is tedious. A lot of it you have to want to do, right? And so that's what we were looking through for the process.
And will the instructors be in different disciplines, or will they just be?
Yeah, so we hired teachers that were dual certified, that they can teach in 2 different subjects. And the secret was we didn't really care what the subjects were. We just wanted teachers that were passionate enough that they wanted to learn how to teach in 2 subjects. Right?
Teach them to code first?
They're teaching each other. So what we did is we hired them a year before the school opened, and they've been working for a year building the curriculum together. So there'll be cross-disciplinary projects, and they're a team that are working together. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when you were speaking on Generation Z and the technology that's present today, and the way that the operation of their minds are even changing to adapt, what thoughts do you have related to theories and beliefs that as those changes occur, for lack of a better word, humanistic skills decline? You know, the ability to read nonverbal language, the ability to express their emotions clearly,
Right.
those sort of things.
So first of all, understanding evolution tracks, we're talking about millions of years before something like that happens, right? So that's number one. It's not going to happen in the next 10 years. So that's first. Second is human skills become more important in a computer-based world, right? Because humans can, the understanding of the difference between what machines can do and what humans can do changes. And, we used to say, what are you going to do when you get older? Flip burgers? And then realize that, no, actually machines will flip burgers, right? And so all of a sudden it becomes more important to have build on the human skills like empathy, and thought and those type of things. So I think that it's actually the opposite. I think that human skills become more important in the world that we're building, and it's important to pay, again, it's separating ourselves from these kids in their rock and roll, and that's not how I grew up, right? Versus what they're actually experiencing. And my 2-year-old daughter, you talk about nonverbal skills. My 2-year-old daughter has no idea how to have a conversation with me without looking at me in my face. Because even when I'm on the road, and I travel 200,000 miles a year, every night that we talk, it's face-to-face. It's through a video channel, right? So if anything, it's gotten better, right? So again, it's that perspective that we got to keep in mind and to think about, is that it's not as bad as we were saying it is for this generation. That we have to pay attention to teenage skills and the things that I got a teenager. I know what I'm dealing with, and the teenage human evolution things are the same for 1,000,000 years. They're not going to change. Just to keep that in mind. Cool. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Very good. Thank you, Jamie. I think that was the perfect thing to get us going for this semester. All right, we're going to take a break now, since I noticed that many of you are up and moving around. Jeanette and Maria are going to do their technology activity after we get back. So please take a quick 10-minute break and be back at 5 till.
This? Argument activity? No. Let's see it. Let's see it. Who's got it?
Good thing
Here. This part of it?
Yeah, okay. Do we have any more anything under that?
What do you mean?
Well, I got this here.
Still in right?
That's not it.
Oh, do you have more slides? Okay, next slide. What's that?
Yeah, it's right. Access control. Okay, we got that. Okay, what's the next one? That one, yeah. Oh, got that one. Emergency preparedness, yeah. Yep. And yeah. They're there. Thank you.
No problem. I guess they combined it all.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Stacy right now. You ready?
Yeah, well, quick question. Is there sound through this computer? Could I play the YouTube video on here and then switch to my computer when I need to do the, okay. Let me,
Let's pull it up. Let's just pull it up on YouTube.
yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I gotta,
Hold on one second. I don't hear sound. Hold on.
Are you gonna maybe have sound? Okay. Well, that would be fun.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Good. It's good to see you. Thank you. Likewise. Did you look at this? Cheap?
Yeah.
I like them.
Really did. You gave us a great plug for Twitter for one of our workshops, right?
That's why I forget that that's a thing. Can you turn the computer bag right there? Yeah. I meant camera bag.
I think that's a good idea. I'm going to follow your lead. So just let me know.
Jared Petty here for IGN, joined by Jose Gotero.
Why is that doing that?
Step over that way, maybe? Are you too close to that mic?
Okay. All right, people, would you come back, please? Time to return, please. Take your seats, please. Come on back, please. No problem. All right, if you'd come on back, please. Thank you to Davin for making my microphone work again. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jeanette and to Maria, who are going to lead us in an activity.
All right, you ready? Yep. Okay. All right. What did you guys think of Jamie? Good speaker, huh? Yeah. I think he was a great way for us to kick off this fall. So, a couple questions for you, because Jamie made us think about a few things, so it's going to segue into our next activity. How many people in the room know what Pokemon Go? No, how many of you have heard of Pokemon Go? How many people have heard of it? Yeah. Okay. How many people in here have seen people playing it? Kind of, sort of. I've been traveling a lot this summer, and everywhere I've gone, here and abroad, I've seen people playing Pokemon Go everywhere this summer. How many people in here are actually playing it? Don't be shy. Go ahead and admit it. How many players we have? Okay. All right. Do you think it could be beneficial for us to incorporate some type of technology or interactive experience like Pokemon Go into how we conduct business on campus? How many people think so? All right. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna hand things over to Jeanette, because she has some interesting information to share.
All right, so following up on Jamie's presentation on Gen Z and thinking about how our students learn different than the way we learn, not that it's good or bad either way, but it is different, we decided to introduce Pokemon Go for some of you that may not be familiar with the game, and why is this such a big deal to our students, to us, to the people that are involved in it. So I've got a quick, I say quick, it's a 5-minute YouTube video. I decided to show it instead of me telling you about it because I like the conversation, and I think it really pulls out the meaning of why is it important and why should we even look at it and consider it as an educational institution. There's many, many uses, many, many departments can be involved and take advantage and really think about how this impacts the future of education and how we teach and learn. So let's go ahead and we'll get the video started. He's got it.
It's on the video at the bottom.
Oh, sorry. My fault.
At the in kayaks, it's happening everywhere. Why is Pokemon Go such a big deal? We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, just in case you missed it, Jose, let us know what Pokemon Go actually is.
Yeah, so Pokemon, which is a beloved mega franchise, and it's basically on your smartphone. It's an augmented reality game, and it's one that you use your camera and your GPS to basically find Pokemon hiding in the real world, which really, kind of marries well with the original concept of what Pokemon is, right? Just a world inhabited by these creatures. So you collect them, you battle them, you're going to trade them one day, which is also really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what's making this such a big deal. First, you mentioned this is played out on your phone. How does the phone help make this such a cultural phenomenon?
Oh man, well, I mean, it's because the phone is always with you. I mean, everyone has a smartphone on them at all times. And I want to say everyone because the majority of the people I know, for example, carry it around everywhere. And so one of the, sort of attractive parts of smartphone gaming is just the idea that the device is with you, it's easy to fire up a game, get started. But what makes this experience incredibly unique is the fact that it is so social, that a group of you can go out on a walk to play Pokemon Go and you will spot these creatures together. You're all aware of where they are, and when one person spots them, everyone in the group has a chance to kind of grab it. which is an awesome thing.
All right, and since this game is built for the phone from the bottom up, you're sitting there using that camera all together, grabbing the pictures, you use the pedometer, you're using your mapping features, everything is built just perfectly to utilize that hardware and make that social experience work. And since you have the photos, they're all shareable and everybody, it's just wonderful that way. What about Pokemon themselves? What does the IP have to do with
So we're talking about an IP that when it came out in 1998 in North America, it exploded. We're talking about like unlike anything that had been seen. And we knew that in Japan it was a big deal.
Right.
But in America it became an RPG series. It quickly an anime, followed right after by a trading card game.
Right.
And it felt like that first generation especially hit so well. It felt like everywhere you turned in that late 90s era, you can find out. Well, now let's look at 2016. 90s nostalgia is in, number one.
Exactly.
Second, these people who used to play Pokemon when they were kids are now 20-somethings who are like, hey, I haven't connected with this IP in a while. I have a smartphone. I want to try this game if it's simple, and it is. It's mechanically a simple game of collecting.
It's easy to learn. They have disposable income. They're just the right age for nostalgia. They're all carrying phones, and even if they haven't touched a video game in a decade, they know this and they can instantly understand it.
So then the social element of this game is doing something that is really, really smart. I mean, at the end of the day, first of all, it's getting you out of your house, exploring your neighborhood or exploring places and seeing things that you didn't realize were always there. That's something that's been a revelation for me. But then secondly, the whole interaction, like you're meeting people constantly who either want to learn more about the game, want to know what Pokemon are nearby, or want to know what team you're on.
Yeah, I was at the zoo yesterday, and there were crowds of strangers just gathering to take pictures of Pokemon in cages with wolverines or rhinoceroses, and they were all standing around talking about it, and like, oh, look, over there, and they all go running. It was fantastic. I've never experienced anything quite like that.
Well, it's so fun to go to the Embarcadero or like a local tourist place and like see just a group of people all talking about Pokemon like publicly, trading information, trying to find out what's the best way to level. Hey, did you catch that Dratini that just showed up? And then seeing everyone react as they do.
And that's the third big part right there is that augmented reality aspect. The fact that that Pokemon is right there and everybody can see him. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a very cool part of what Pokemon has always been, right? Like the world is inhabited by these sort of creatures, these pocket monsters that you collect. But the idea that they're hiding and you don't quite see them and you're able to hold up a special camera to see them is a very smart application because you're basically tapping into that, hey, they're everywhere, you can catch them, you can battle with them, and it becomes this very, very social experience.
And that's it.
Like,
they're not just there for you. Or if we were both here with our phones, we see the same one. It's social. We take that, then the social aspects of sharing it, and then of course battling. There's the competitive end.
Oh man, that's the best part. I mean, like honestly, it's something that I didn't expect to because the battles are very simple. It's a lot of tapping or tap and hold or swipe, which compared to the RPGs is different. However, the idea that you're one of 3 teams and you are trying to dominate these gyms, and even seeing your Pokemon like hovering above a gym, just to me says, I've done it. Like this is blue team's territory. By the way, Team Mystic, the only team you should be on right now, you know it, I know it, is something that it just feels really good. And when you see a gym, like behind my house, there's a gym that every once in a while it goes down. I'm immediately out there trying to reclaim it for Team Mystic.
I also love how flexible this game is. It's a game that appeals to you. If you just want to play by yourself, you can. If you just want to cooperate with friends and not ever compete, you can. If you just love collection, you can do it. If you want to be a gym leader and you want to compete, there's so much room for that. You can engage it any way you want and have a good time with it. And that's a lot like the original Pokemon RPGs as well.
Yeah, and it's only going to grow from here, which is the most fascinating part of it. Hopefully they're able to kind of figure out what the future is going to hold for this thing.
So that's why Pokemon Go is such a big deal. We hope you're playing. If you're not, give it a shot. I'm Jared Petty. Once again, Jose Gotero. And for everything Pokemon, we hope to stay with your friends here at IGN.
Okay, so that's kind of a summary of Pokemon Go for anyone that has not played and they're not, sorry, I got to switch it.
Whoa! HP DeskJet 3630.
And I think it provides a good summary of the implications for our world, what we do, and the students that we have coming into our classroom. So we're trying to get you to think, it's what Jamie said, our students learn differently. So what I have pulled up, and why is this important to South Mountain? I have Pokemon Go pulled up on my phone, and this is South Mountain, so this is right where we're at. And so that you know, when he talked about a gym, these here are gyms. So this is where people can go in, they can battle the characters, they can take control. If you check it, there's 3 teams, so there's blue, yellow, and red. So that's constantly changing because people are coming in and taking control of that gym. Now you have characters, you have to build their combat power. You train with your own gym to build your character strength. There's ways that you can power up. So there's a lot of stuff you can do in order to get to that point. I've not tackled a gym yet, and I haven't really trained because I'm excited doing the collecting part right now. So you can just be a collector and not have to even go to the competition, which is really cool. And that's one of the things I saw with learning. You know, it's mobile, and we're out and about, moving around, but I can decide, do I want to compete? No, I want to collect. I want to explore and see what's out there and just collect characters. I get excited with collecting and involving the characters. So the blue, where you see the blue spots, those are considered Pokemon stations or Pokemon stops. This is where you go to collect the Pokemon balls so you're able to capture those characters. And if you see, and this is on our campus, so kids are coming here to play. The first meeting I had on campus this summer, I sat down beside Stephanie, the student that was here earlier. Our first conversation was about Pokemon. So it's cross-generation. It's really cool to, you know, I connected with her immediately because we were playing Pokemon. We were talking about what was on campus and what she had gotten and where I was at. So right down here, if we pull this up, these are the characters that are nearby me right now. So I can go out and actually walk around campus and capture these characters. So you can always pull those up. There's things where you can set out a lure, and that brings in more Pokemon characters at one time. So I went to the Phoenix Zoo. Phoenix Zoo is a hot spot for Pokemon. So if you want to get really involved and really experience it, go to Phoenix Zoo. They had all kind of lures out. So all the people in there playing had put out lures. You could get Pokemon characters like crazy. It was amazing. And it's true, you meet people. It was interesting because every place you went, there were other people in the zoo. We started having conversations with all the other people playing. Hey, what level are you? How high can you go? Hey, my friends overseas are. And it just went on and on and on. What character did you catch? Where did you catch it? So, and then we were getting photobombed because I heard one group, hey, we're photobombing them Pokemon style or something. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But I assume they got a picture of me playing Pokemon. So it was just really neat to meet the other people that were also playing the game. And then just to show you a couple more things, these are my characters so far. I haven't been playing very long, maybe a couple weeks. But these are characters where I'm trying to build up their power in order to get ready for combat. And then the cool part, which are, this is great for the wellness program. So these are eggs. So as you go to Pokemon stops, you collect eggs. You can hatch them to get other characters. And some of the characters you get are characters you already have, but some of them are characters you can't get without hatching the eggs. If you notice, the first one I have in an incubator, 5K. I have to walk a 5K to hatch that egg. The next one, 5K also, the next one's a 10K. So those eggs will not hatch until I've walked a 10K. And if any of you know, that's 6 miles, 6.1, 6.2, 6.2 miles. So it's really great at getting people out. I've put in more miles this summer than I did with I was telling Tyler about it. I've put in more miles this summer doing Pokemon than I did with our 1 million step challenge. Because I'm doing something. And every place I go, I'm pulling out the phone, oh, is there Pokemon here? So that's just a little bit of information about what it is and maybe how you can use it to connect with your students or a new way to think about teaching and learning. So what I want to do right now, let's take, I don't know, how much time do I have? None? Okay, then think about this on your own. I was going to have you discuss how you might use this on campus. So our library has already tapped into it. It's a great marketing opportunity. If you look anywhere you go, they're letting you know how many Pokemon stops are there and how many gyms are there, and then what characters have been caught. So our library here on campus has a board where you can write down what Pokemon characters you have caught. and they advertise that there's 2 gyms on campus. Yes, sir. Actually, they're working on that. So right now, what's on campus is what has been built into the game. The game used to be Ingress, so this is built on top of a game they previously had for augmented reality. And the people playing the game basically got all the content to create this game. What they're working on, they're having a lot of problems with people trying to hack the system and keeping the servers up because there's such a demand on the system. They're working on that. But they have in the works, right now we can send requests in. So they have a request form where we can send in request of, hey, can you put this stop here, or I don't know what all the requests are. But they're working on a little bit down in the future, you're going to be able to do your own stuff. And I don't know to what extent, but there'll be a user-created content. So that's something you can go ahead and start thinking about, play this, understand this, and then when that rolls out, you'll also, I've seen the first signs of it, you're going to be able to breed characters at one point, because I've already gotten a couple female characters. So, they're building. There's more to come. All right, any more quick questions? I told I'm out of time. The company. Just the company. They already did. It's already here. Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, thank you, and maybe Patricia and I will try to get together and have a Pokemon Go hike or startup or something next couple weeks, so if you want to come out and play with people that are playing that can help you, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette and Maria. Before I bring Dawn up, Dr. Janet Ortega has a couple more things that she needs to announce real quickly. Our vice president of everything else, as I like to think of her.
I might learn how to play Pokemon. Actually, my kids play Pokemon. So I told them, you got to come to South because we got 2 gyms. Same thing. For us, we didn't get an opportunity to do our college updates, and we had 2 key highlights that we wanted to present for our division. So Stan Barzar and Bear are here and will be up to present. But for us, I always want to give kudos to my team. We welcome everybody back, but just want everybody to remember that the OE&T division is running all summer long. They do not stop. They do not stop. And I had some examples for you. In TSS, we had the technology overhauls, the re-imaging, the obsolescence, we had the password changes, the HCM update. So that team has not stopped. When everyone left in May, that's when we geared up and started working at warp speed in technology. CBS, they closed the fiscal year, and then they reopened the new fiscal year in light of having a brand new enterprise system that's very difficult to utilize. So they initiated training that was very successful. Facilities, storm damage. I have to tell you, I've never seen Stan, our sergeant, do the backstroke. But when we were assessing the damage with the first monsoon, Stan was knee-deep in water by the pack. And he's got a pretty good stroke. You guys should see it. Images of those were needed for our claim, so did a great job with the assessments. And then the facilities team, in terms of doing storm damage repair, Robert Gomez, I just have to highlight him. We had so many trees down that were obstructions, either for people walking or even trees on cars and vehicles. The TSS team rescued their own. They took the tree off of Tim and Trevor's truck, and then Robert came. 8 o'clock at night, he was still here, cutting trees down so that we could remove obstructions from the sidewalks so that the campus would be safe. I offered to go get him dinner, and he didn't want it. But he worked really hard that evening. He worked really hard that evening. So I just wanted to give him kudos for that. Facilities also did the classroom remodeling, the sound improvements to prevent the sound obstructions or the sound from going back and forth in the LA building. And if you haven't seen the new directory signage, looks amazing. So our facilities department has been working at warp speed as well. Access controls and safety, that has been probably our highest priority for that group. Doing the testing, the implementation. If you haven't gotten your access cards, we'll let Stan tell you a little bit more about that. But I always want to come back to the fall semester giving my team kudos because they work so hard during the summer to be sure we're ready for the students and we're ready for all of you. So OE&T team, would you please stand? Is that it? I think everybody else is still working, making sure everything's ready, but thank you all. And then I'm going to turn it over to, who goes first? Bear. CTL? Oh, that's right. They also did the remodel of the CTL. Thank you. Do you need this one? That I don't know because we're not in control of it yet, so I can't answer that one. If you tell me 25 slides, some of we've got images.
So we had one omission this morning, which is Brian Hahn got promoted from utility worker to building maintenance technician. Of course, he's not here right now because he got called out on a lock issue. But Brian's been working with public safety and the vendor on our new electronic access. So if you see him around, congratulate him on that. I'd also like to acknowledge that our evening custodial staff is here. They worked until 11:30 last night and they came in for this. So thank you guys for showing up. Also, Janet mentioned the new directory maps that you'll see around campus. So I don't get 200 emails. Yes, we're putting little stars, you are here. Those are going to be field applied by the vendor, so they're not on there today, but they may be on there tomorrow. So what Dr. Olson asked me to do to update you on the progress for the Student Success Center remodel. So we started out, I tell you, my memory's real good. It's just kind of short. So I don't really remember what I showed you guys the last time we were all together. And we've made this presentation so many times. I think that the last update we gave was to the executive team, and you guys haven't seen this. So what you're looking at is the existing SES center and then the SU up there. So we have what is called the hub, which is a connector piece to connect the two buildings together. And then what is identified as Main Street is actually we're going to capture the space between this building and the SES building so that everything's tied together. It will be all essentially one building when we're done. So this is the latest plan, or concept I should say. When we put this together originally, we had a complete construction completion date of 2020. And Dr. Olson challenged us to shorten that construction process, and we did that by a year. This is a pretty complex project when you look at all the places that we're going to touch and the people's lives that we're going to disrupt by moving them around. So what you're looking at here was our original concept, which was the 2020 completion date. This is where we are now. This is takes a full year off of the contract. So what we're doing or attempting to do is you see now this is the latest technology here. I know we're just follow Google and Pokemon Go. So what we have here is a scan of a photocopy of a hand highlighted drawing. So we're not behind too far. So the enrollment services will be, which is the Student Success Center, will be phase 1. And phase 1A, as we're calling it, will be kind of the rest of it. We're going to try to do everything essentially at the same time. The problem that we're running into is where do we move people? How long are they there? We've got some meetings scheduled with the stakeholders to talk about where people are going to go. We have some ideas. I'm not prepared to put those out yet because we haven't had the stakeholder meetings, but we're working on that. So we have shortened that. You can see on the bottom, the construction completion date is August 2019. So this is phase 1 and phase 1A, and then we move into these other phases, which we have to be able to move Osaro and Company into this building essentially, so we can get to the other buildings to remodel them. We will in fact be without food service in this location for some undetermined period of time. Now we're kicking around ideas about possibly renting a portable kitchen to be able to provide food service, but as we get into design development and challenge the architects and the engineers to get going on that, we'll have more definitive answers. But yeah, but did I see you in a suit and tie up here? That was amazing. Anyway, the answer is maybe. We've talked about the possibility of food trucks, but as you are painfully aware, district likes to get involved in those kinds of things, and a lot of discussion has to take place before that can happen. But yes, it is one of the things that we're considering. So that's where we're at. It's an exciting project. It's going to be really cool when we're done. There's going to be some pain along the way, but you know, it's the old making an omelet, break an egg kind of a thing. So I hope to have a more definitive update after, like within the next couple of weeks, and we can send that out on the web or something so people know better. We do have better drawings than this, but I wasn't able to get together with Gary Eberhardt, the district architect. We've just been missing each other. He's been on vacation, his father's had some health problems, and I've been here and gone trying to sell a house up in Seattle, so we'll get this together. We will be putting together the planning committee, so those of you that are going to be voluntold, I guess, will be getting an invitation from Dr. Olson shortly. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. No time left. There's no time. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, is Stan here? Great. Thank you, Stan.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Hi. Well, I'm Stan, as you all know, and I would like to say Don is leaving us. He's been promoted to commander, and I'd like congratulations, Don. And we're going to miss him. I know I am. The first thing that we're doing is talk about the S2 system. The S2 system is a very important project that we worked on for a long time with M&O, with IT, and we pushed this project out real quick. And I could say that we're real successful in it right now. It's a card swipe system where all the exterior doors are on card swipe now. If you have a classroom, if you're going to teach in a classroom going into a building, you should have a card swipe. We did make some card swipes up, are ready to go. And if you check with us, and we'll have a list if you've been approved, and we will issue your card today, okay? The way to get to the card swipe to get approval is online now. You go to South Mountain CC EDU, follow the prompts, go into public safety, which sets you into facilities, and then you would have to basically ask for permission for a swipe card or a hard key to get into your office. Once you fill out that form, it will go to your chair. Your chair will approve that form and send it to us. Then once we get that card, we will make up the swipe card or get the key for you and notify you to come pick it up. Okay? The three important things that I'd like to say when we're doing this, these outer doors, these card swipe doors, is that number one, don't use your key. I know some of them got keys to the classrooms or to the building. You will turn those in to us for a swipe card, okay? Because once you use a key, then it will alert us that it's a breach or somebody used a key to get into the building, okay? Number two, don't prop the doors open. When you prop the doors open, it basically wouldn't help us when we have to go into a lockdown situation. The lockdown situation meaning that if we have to lock all the exterior doors, we can do that from our office. One punch, boom, everything locks up, okay? And some doors have bar downs, which would take an Allen wrench to bar it down, do not bar them down, okay? With this new system, it's great. You can go to your classroom, tap the door, get in, and then if you're having a class and you need your class open for at least an hour or a couple hours, you can double tap the swipe card, and it will leave your classroom door open for at least 3 hours, okay? And then we would ask for you to, once you finish your class, students are gone, you're gone, and it's within that 3-hour time period, double tap it again, beep, beep, and it'll lock automatically. And then we still go around checking the doors and systems and things in that nature. If it's something that is not on your card that you need to get access to, go ahead, fill out the application, run it through your chair, and we'll get it and get that corrected for you. Make sure vehicle authorization roster. Every 3 years, you have to take that test to get authorization to drive district vehicles. We keep a roster going. You have to do that for risk management purposes. Check and see if you're due for that, because we query everything in July to make sure everybody's up to date, everybody can drive the vehicles and get squared away. If you have a question about that, please come see us and we'll get you hooked up. Emergency preparedness. We have in your classroom right now, we have these items here. This is basically emergency procedures. Take the time, please. Please take the time to read this and know the emergency procedures. It'll take maybe 5 minutes out of your time to do that, because it's very important that you know those things. We also have, who do I call? If you look at this here, it will tell you who to call for what certain things, like law enforcement matters and just for general information. Take a look at that. And now we have what we call out in the parking lots, thanks to M&O, they put rally points. Rally points basically when you evacuate from your building, know where your rally point is. Know where that blue dot is. There's blue dots located around the parking lot. So wherever you're at, your building, find that location, find that closest blue dot, and that's your rally point. So that way when we do have to evacuate a building, everybody goes to that rally point. That way we can take count. We can find out who's here, who's not here, and if they're not here, we can go looking for them, okay? So it's very important that you do that. Please take the time. These are the couple of numbers that we want you to keep in mind. The District Public Safety Emergency, that will get you right straight to our dispatcher. That is in Tempe, okay? They are police dispatchers. You call that number, it's just like calling 911, but it's for on campus. 40911 is for on campus. I'm not telling you to don't stop calling 911, but the way it works, if you call a regular 911, it goes down to Phoenix PD, then Phoenix PD screens it, and then shoot it right back to our dispatchers and say, this is an emergency. So if you're here on campus, dial that number right there, you'll speak to one of our dispatchers. Anything else you need, like unlocks, escorts, or things of that nature, that is not law enforcement, call the 8100 number, okay? And like I said, please look at your procedures, evacuations, rally points, and things of that nature, because it's really important, not just for you, but for the whole campus. And we're just here to try to keep you all safe. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Okay, so we have 2 more important presentations this morning, and lunch will still happen at 1 o'clock. Dr. Olson has asked that before, 1 o'clock? Yes, you're staying here till 1 o'clock before you get your lunch. No, 12 o'clock. Dr. Olson has asked that before we break for lunch, she has a video activity for all of us, so don't leave until she gets to do that. She's going to give the Pillar Awards during lunch so that we have a little bit more time for our 2 important presentations, the first of which will be from Dr. Don Thacker.
Thank you. I was just thinking, based on all the earlier presentations, that we should develop an app called like Cougar Go, and then we can find where's the food truck today and where's the blue dot, and do something fun with that. So Demita and I are your assurance argument co-chairs, which is, do you mind clicking? Which is the accreditation visit that we face in a few years. So just to remind everyone, or maybe for the first time, every college and university has to get accredited by the national body that says, yes, you are providing quality services, yes, any money that comes to you from the federal government is being spent on a legitimate education. So it's a 10-year cycle, and we are in year 7. So, you know, something happened in the past where the timeline got changed on us, so all of a sudden we're just a few years away from this extremely crucial, like this is the kind of thing that closes your doors if you don't get it right. So a team from HLC, the Higher Learning Commission, will be visiting our campus, walking around our campus, interviewing us on the spot, organizing forums to talk to us in 2019-2020. If you were around last time South Mountain did this, they've completely revamped it. It used to be a lot more fun and glossy, but they decided to make it more rigorous. So what we will be producing is about 100 pages, single-spaced, of explanations of how everything that we're offering, everything that we do, every way that we serve students, every way that we're good stewards of public funds, absolutely every aspect of what we do here every day. And we don't just get to tell them that we do it, we have to prove that we do it. So they will expect from 400 to 800 different pieces of evidence, or in other words, proof. So when we say that we have a clear procedure and policy for the way that we recruit, train, and staff part-time employees, we have to have documentation showing them exactly how that happens. When we say that our professors have a high quality of standards in our courses, we have to give them individual rubrics of how we grade work. They will ask for proof from the bottom level, individual rubrics used by individual instructors, individual forms filled out by individual advisors, individual timesheets from folks who work in cashiering, every type of the bottom level, all the way up to asking for documents out of Dr. Olson's office, showing that the vision and the practices are all the way up and down and across the institution. So there's not only one pocket that's doing everything they want to see, it's every single corner. This task is divided up into 5 what they call criteria, and you can see them here. And they kind of loosely align with how a college is set up. So, you know, mission is, you know, vision statements, that kind of things. Criterion 2 is kind of loosely aligned with a lot of what our student development, so Dr. Iguodaro's area. 3 and 4 are instruction, so the learning division. And then 5 is largely Dr. Ortega's area, so, you know, a lot of the business services and that kind of thing. Types of documentation, basically everything that we do, they want to see that we don't just do it in our heads, that we don't rely on historical tradition. So we don't just say, oh, well, you know, Kathy does that. No, it's not written on paper anywhere. Kathy knows it. That's not going to cut it. We have to show that there's a process, that files are kept, that reports are generated. And when they come and visit us in 2019 or 2020, that's when they'll walk around and say, oh, so you, Marilyn, can you explain to me how adjuncts are hired? Apparently, this is done universally, so you must know, right? And then if we trip up, and we're like, oh, yeah, I've never heard about that, or no, I don't know what the initiatives on the campus are, that will impact us poorly. This is what I was just saying about it's at every level, and they are very conscientious about making sure that they look at every level. They won't look just at the top and assume that if the president's office does it, we all do it. And they won't just look at individual instructors and say, well, if she does it, they all must do it. They will interrogate this. It's a year-long investigation of our practices and our services. So, starting now, if you don't already do these things, as a department, as an area, as a division, these are the types of things that count as proof that we're going to have to start showing them. That we have agendas for every type of meeting, even those quote-unquote little ones, that it's the same 5 people and you've never used agendas because you all know what you're talking about. We need to start being able to produce those, and then minutes from those meetings. You can kind of read through this. So a lot of paper documents and a lot of websites. A lot of this work is going to be done with IT to make sure that this is all in Canvas or SharePoint or Google Drive or whatever they decide. So what we're going to do now is, if this is fun, great, but honestly, this is just actual work that you're going to help me out with right now. If you look around the room, there's 5 white paper stands. I don't know what those things are actually called. Easels. Thank you. Yes. So what I'm going to ask you to all do is get up, move just temporarily to the easel that matches the criterion that you would fall under in your day-to-day work tasks. And then what I'm going to ask you to produce with the markers and post-it notes that are at each easel is a list of what do we already have? What do we have that we know we're going to start collecting and, filtering over to Dawn? What do we need to start doing? Like, oops, you know what? We don't do agendas right now. We need to start creating those. Or, hey, you know what? We don't have rubrics in our division that are universal in any way. Let's start creating those. We have 3 years to make some really big strides to show them that we deserve our accreditation back. So, if the admin, so Dr. Olson's office, HR, marketing, I'd like you to come over to this easel. Sure, and you're going to do criterion 1. And everybody stay seated for a second until I tell you which easel to go to. Jim.
Hey, Don, on the 400 to 800 pieces of evidence, would all of the syllabi that are turned in for all of the courses in a division, would that be one piece of evidence, or would each syllabus be
500 syllabi would be one piece of evidence. Okay, so in the back there, if we could have, I'll just call it Janet's area, so which I'm thinking of as criterion 5. So in the back there behind Bear, if we could have Dr. Osaro's area, so criterion 2, back there by Davin. And then faculty and divisional assistants and academic support like Kathy's office, Lori, if you can split just kind of half and half to these 2 easels and do criteria 3 and 4, and then Demita's team.
My team will be facilitating at each one of the areas, and basically what we're asking you to do is to kind of start a brainstorming session based on the area that you're going to be assigned to help us start to generate what might be possible areas of evidence. We want to know what we already have, what we may need to go after, and just really starting to tap into that great work that you're already doing. So I think with that, we can have
Sorry, I forgot what to say one thing. While you're doing this, to help you brainstorm, Kent Kramer, can you raise your hand? He is a former student of ours who designed some swag that you're going to get while you work on this brainstorming session. His cards are in the bags that he designed, and those and the bags celebrate the progress we've made with the quality initiative, I Teach Smart assessment, something. right, so admin, president's office up here at the windows, Janet's area over there by Camille, Dr. Osaro's area by Bill, and then faculty and academic areas up here. Please go.
I don't know. We're so off. I know. It's crazy. 10 minutes? I was thinking 10 at most. And I can walk around to let people know. Like I can cover this half if you want to go that way and just say they have a. I just wanted to let you know to tuck away. If I could have All right.
People, if I could have your attention, please. One more presentation. I know. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn it over now to Camille Newton and Yvette Espinosa.
Good afternoon. I know you all are anxious to get to lunch, so we're going to make ours super short. So one aspect, as you all learned from Dawn, one aspect of HLC accreditation process is the assurance portion. We are the sort of the other aspect, the quality initiative, where assurance relies on this, she said it wasn't fun and glossy. Our part is the fun and glossy part of accreditation. This is where the college gets to take risks. We get to really challenge ourselves as an institution and really even are allowed to fail if necessary. So we get the sort of fun and glossy portion of QI. So we're going to do this sort of an activity. On your tables, you have these blue truth papers and you have these red false papers. So we have some true and false questions for you about the accreditation process and then specifically about QI. So our first question is, Go ahead. Actually, it's the Camille's room. Sorry.
I get to ask the questions. Put your cards down. I haven't asked the question yet. What are you doing? Okay, SMCC is currently in the process of preparing for accreditation. True or false?
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. It's true. Who went up first?
I don't know who went up first. Let's just randomly. We have free goodie bags.
So this is obviously not going to be fair. It will simply be fun. Go ahead.
So as you heard from Dawn, the team is coming. We're all preparing for it, so we're all ready to go. All right. So we are currently on what's called the open pathways process of accreditation. And as Dawn said, I should say, it's a 10-year process. We're in year 7. One aspect is the assurance argument.
Just do it.
Okay. All right. So next question. Do not raise your cards yet. Next question. QI is one of 5 components of HLC accreditation. I saw them first. That is false. It is not. QI is part of the open pathways. There are not 5 components. I know, trick question, right? There are not 5 components. Okay, so the open pathways consist again of the assurance argument and the quality initiative project, which is QI. Okay, so that one was false. All right, go ahead, Camille. You read this one.
Just keep going.
So QI is the component of HLC. QI is a component of HLC accreditation that requires an institution to undertake a major project designed to suit its present concerns or aspirations. That is true. Back here in the back. That is true. Again, it's an opportunity to try something innovative, take risks, enjoy your candy. Look this way. I'll look this way next. I'll stand over here. So as I said earlier, there are several components to QI. There are several components to accreditation. QI is one of them. The assurance argument is another one. So all of these things go under assurance argument. All of these things go under QI. I'm not going to spend the time reading them to you because you want lunch. But again, there's significant overlap. Okay, so significant overlap. So we're all going to get familiar with this as we move closer to 2019. Okay? All right. So in order to come up with our project, we surveyed the college community. We only surveyed the college community. Is that true or false? I saw it over here. That is false. So not only did we survey the college community, if you recall, a lot of you were part of this. We had forums, we had all kinds of good stuff, and that's how we came up with this project. We even took it to the shared governance process, and it was approved there. Okay? So the next question is, the focus of the QI project is guided pathways and strategic scheduling. In the back, where I was sitting, I saw them first. That is true. So we are currently working on this. There are pilots happening now that are incorporating all aspects of this project. So these are the 4 components of QI. Okay, and again, you're going to get familiar with this as we move closer to actually submitting the report. So the pilot that's currently underway is focused on the AJEC-A. We also have 2 occupational pilots of guaranteed schedules, pathways for students to complete in 2.5 years. Okay, that's very exciting. We also are working closely with the academic division to get a more strategic schedule and to really align that with our budget in our current state. Okay, and then we're going to create a portal to show off all of this, and also so that students can immediately register if they want one of those pathways. Okay, all right, next question. There's only 8 questions, so I promise I'm almost done. In the fall of 2016, SMCC will be offering 3 pathways or guaranteed schedules for students to graduate in 2.5 years. I saw them Bear in the back because he's right. It's false. We have 2 academic pathways and 3 occupational pathways. I know, trick question. I'm sorry. So that was false. 3 academic pathways, 2 occupational. Okay? All right. Next question. there is a QI Pathways Implementation Task Force that's been working. Yes, true. Go ahead, you guys get it. Okay? So this task force has been working all summer to ensure that students are transitioning into the pathways smoothly, and it's a cross-functional team. So we've got representatives from all areas, advisors, faculty, financial aid, registration. We're all contributing to make sure that those pathways are successful. All right, last question. So before I say this, I want to really give kudos where they're due. The division chairs have been working all summer to help us accomplish one of these goals, okay? So the question is, the learning division reduced its fall schedule by 5%. Is that true? It is true. 3 months. The learning division took ownership over this aspect of the project, and they reduced the fall schedule by 5% in order to align our budget, okay? So again, to really get a schedule that's precise and meeting the needs of the students, right, this had to be done, okay? All right, so we've been working all summer to do that. Camille, you want to talk about this?
You guys can read. This is what we've gotten done.
What we're going to do.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm sure this is going to be sent out.
And long term, what we're going to do.
There's a lot of work still to be done, but we've got great progress, so thank you all. Sorry, one more. Question.
None. Great. Let's go to lunch.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate you doing that fast. All right, so before we go to lunch, Dr. Olson has one final activity for us, so let's do that.
This is an idea I had probably in the middle of my sleep last night or this morning. So I'm going to ask you all to come as close to each other in the center of the room, because we're going to do a group video to put out on a Twitter account to all of our students, and we're going to say our vision statement together. So those of you that don't know it, it's right up here. So we're going to practice it a few times, okay? 1, 2, 3. South Mountain Community College educates minds, transforms lives, touches hearts, builds community. Oh, we don't even have to practice it one more time. That was really good. Now you have to get to the middle of the room, so you have to stand up, and let's squeeze all together like we are best friends. Best friends. We have to get to the middle of the room because we have to shoot the video. Okay. Janet, can you please push the people from your side of the room this way and get in the picture? And let's see, Jason Reif, can you help me on that side and push people to the middle of the room?
Look this way.
Come on, let's get all together, get in the... Okay, we still have a few people that need to get in the video. We are waiting for people to come to the middle of the room. Okay, everybody. Are you ready? Okay, on 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go like this. The 4 things, you know. I'll kind of do like a. I'll try to be like Dr. Garrison. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
South Mountain Community College educates minds, transforms lives, touches hearts, and builds community.
Perfect. Thank you very much. No. Okay, lunch is served, so please get in line and come back and enjoy each other's company. teaching and learning through faculty and staff development. This recipient's nomination included praises such as this. As mathematics faculty at South Mountain Community College, she continually makes outstanding contributions that transform the way we facilitate student success. She embraces the concept of a learning organization which places learning first and provides educational experiences for learners anywhere, any place, anytime. She is skilled at creating, acquiring, and transferring knowledge, as well as fostering tolerance and open discussion. She is constantly striving to make SMCC the best it can be. She is highly regarded by her colleagues as a co-chair of the college's Foundations Academy. This requires her to meet frequently with colleagues in other disciplines to accomplish common goals. She is currently developing an action plan for Foundations Academy and working to create a program of study for students testing into developmental courses to ensure positive learning experiences while providing the guidance and structure necessary to help at-risk students transition to college. Please welcome the Spring 2016 Pillar Award recipient for the Learning Organization, Christian Nusma. The Continuous Improvement and Innovation Award is given to an individual who demonstrated the ability to capitalize resources at South Mountain Community College by evaluating the college processes, policies, and practices to ensure a stable, continuously improving environment. Here's just a small part of what was written about this year's recipient. She's an exemplary employee and is the definition of continuous improvement. Using her Gallup strengths every day, she consistently seeks opportunities to improve upon existing processes for the betterment of the college and the district. She believes that anything is possible, and her work is guided by a "how can we make this better" philosophy. She not only follows the philosophy, but she encourages and motivates those around her to do the same. She is a leader and is consistently looking for essential college processes and seeks opportunities whenever applicable to make them better. As a co-chair of the Institutional Review Board process, she works closely with internal and external individuals who want to conduct research using SMCC data and has developed resources to assist prospective researchers with this process. She is also responsible for providing data to support the Student Success Initiative. Although the district requires each of our IR offices to provide this data about this cohort, she provides more extensive information about SMCC students. These reports are highly regarded throughout the district, as SMCC is one of the only colleges providing this level of information to the people who work with this cohort of students. Please help me welcome Belinda Miguel to the stage. The final award is the Student Success Award. This is given to an individual who has made student success their primary focus. This employee is dedicated to ensuring that students are college ready and have the tools they need to persist to graduation and beyond. Some of what was written about this individual includes the following. She has only been a part of the South Mountain Community College family for a little over a year, but the impact that she has made in the lives of our students has been felt by many. She engages students in new student orientation as she welcomes the students to our college community and connects them to the resources and services that will support their success. She mentors our student success ambassadors and provides leadership in the coordination and implementation of this program. Students constantly flock to her office for a conversation, feedback, guidance, or simply to leave an inspiring message for others on her whiteboard. She exudes warmth and enthusiasm that is contagious, and it is evident that our students experience this level of care and concern. Please help me welcome Melissa Carrasco to the stage. Well, thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. We had a great morning together, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you very soon. So take care, and thanks for staying for the awards. Oh, Dr. Jerome has an announcement. You have to hear this because it's a great deal. It's the best $25 you will spend in the month of September.
Or any month. All right, good afternoon. Any of you ever had lunch at Puncho's over here on Central? Boy, they have some pretty good food. One day, this summer, I worked with an external STARS board that the president asked me to work with, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. I know so many people are new that probably don't even know what STARS mean, but as I walked into Puncho's, I was with a community person, and have you ever walked in a place and somebody over across, it was two ladies, and they started waving at me, and I didn't really know who they were. Has that ever happened to anybody? Somebody waving and calling your name, and I didn't know who they were. So I waved back a little bit, and then finally she came up and she grabbed me and hugged me, and I was trying to figure out what was going on until until she said, I want to thank you. And I want to thank all the people at South Mountain Community College. And then she pulled out her business card. She said, I was a lost soul at South Mountain High School. I didn't know where I was going or what I would do with my life. And then one day, somebody from South Mountain came in, and they talked to me about the ACE program. Thanks, Liz, for helping us create the ACE program. Liz helped dream that up. The ACE stands for Achieving a College Education. We had a problem with so many students dropping out of high school. Instead of sitting around talking about it, you know how people talk about problems all the time? We said, let's do something. And so we created the ACE program to go into the high schools and start them ourselves at the sophomore level and get them dreaming so that they can go through and become college graduates. She said that they invested in me and said, when I got there, I heard about the STARS program, and I got it. Involved with that, and she says, and next thing you know, I was graduating from the ASU, and then next thing you know, guess what? I graduated with a master's degree, and she said, I'm here to tell you today, I'm assistant principal at South Mountain High School, where I used to go, and she said, I'm so excited. So we make a difference. You never know what you're doing. Here at South Mountain, we really, our goal is to make a difference in the lives of others. And when she gave me her card and asked me to give her a call and come see her whenever we wanted to, I thought that was really, really great. Michelle Sandoval, anyone familiar with her? She's right, there you go. She's the vice principal there of student life at South Mountain High School, which we intend to touch bases with her a little later. And I'm telling you that to tell you that this summer, I had the chance to work on STARS. STARS stands for Students Transform to Achieve Radiant Success. And we were sitting around over 20 years ago talking about the high rate of college and the tuition and our default rate. We're still talking about our default rate. And I was looking at, if you look at today, a student has to pay approximately $4,000 when you consider the fees and stuff per year, a full-time student. And so last year we had 3,600 of our students received financial aid. So it's a real problem there. We were talking about it, and one of the faculty members stood up and said, why don't we stop talking and do something about it? And that's how STARS came about. But she drafted me and said, you be the leader and I'll follow you, but I'll help you out and start this program where we develop a foundation where we raise money. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I put together a plan and went around and asked each one of the people who were here. And a lot of the folks are not even here today. But you know what? They gave to that scholars, that foundation. And it's a foundation that we put together. And I kept asking every 4 or 5 years, we asked again. And do you know we ended up raising over $250,000 from just you? Just people here, over $250,000. So with over $250,000, we started. Next thing you know, we had enough money to award scholarships off the principal, of that of the funds. And so we would just award scholarships every year. And I checked last week, and guess what? We have awarded over $103,000 to over 197 students. And that is really amazing. Since 2003, that's what we have done. So then the president asked me, she said, I want you to look at going external, work with an external board. So I started that in January. I really didn't want to do that because I didn't know what I was doing again. I said, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'll try it. So I put together about 6 or 7 guys, and we got together and we started talking. It was not guys, it was just the board members, and they started talking about ways we could raise money. And this summer, they really got serious about it. We have a date, September the 16th, where they said, let's launch our very first event for raising funds to add to it, because these guys want to take us from $250,000 to $1 million. And that way we can award $50,000 maybe a year to students, and we can eliminate some of this debt that the students are suffering from. Isn't that a good thing? Don't you think that's a good thing? I think so. I think that's a great thing. So they say, we will help you. We'll get involved and help you raise the funds. And so then on your table, you'll see this. This is something that's on your table that's talking about the events that's coming up on Friday, September the 16th. We are sponsoring this event. It's going to be, let's see, I don't know where they have, do they have the copy of, you have the copy of looking at the band? You see the band there? That band is Johnny K. and Company. He plays a variety of music, and we were able to get him because this is not his season. He usually plays at resorts, but he's going to come to us and play for minimal cost, and that we have to use, and that comes from our Stars Foundation. So you know I want to get these tickets sold because we got to cover that cost and then raise funds from there. And so he's going to come, but I also spoke with the Harmony Project. The Harmony Project is a group of kids from junior high all the way through high school who play string instruments. We started the orchestra, to get them involved and get them focused on doing something that would really lead to them experiencing a high level of success. So you're going to see about 95 kids on the stage playing the violin, viola, cello, and we've also connected with a few professional musicians and asked them if they'd sit in with these kids. So they're going to open up the night because they are representing the future. They are the people who are going to take advantage of the STARS scholarship. So we want them to be on the stage, and they are all ethnicities, and they just all levels of musicians, but they want to pull it together and make a really fantastic performance that evening, along with this band, which will come after they finish performing and finish the night off with showing you what it's like to be a professional musician. One of the guys playing in the band is a guitar instructor here at our college. He actually is one of our guitar instructors. And so we're really excited about this event, but I need your help. I really need your help. I need you to sign up here and say, yes, I want to help out, and it's tax write-off. The tickets are $25. If you would purchase 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 10 tickets if you'd like, and just put your name here, we'll send you a link where you can go and purchase the ticket. We'd really appreciate that if you could do that, because this is very important. And we think that a lot of the kids in the Harmony Project will not be able to, their parents won't be able to purchase the tickets. So I already arranged with Rob to set up a room, the Black Box, so we can show the event from there, and the parents will have to go there, the ones who can't afford $25 will have to go in the Black Box to see the event, because our 350 seats will be preserved and reserved for people who are paying the $25. Everybody follow me there? So if you purchase a ticket and you say, well, September 16th, I'm busy, I'm going to be out of town, that's okay. Just donate your ticket to one of those parents who will be able to go see their baby play that evening. That would be just great. We'd like to see you out if you can come, but if not, still become a part of the project. And I want those who are new, STARS is something that the majority of the people in this room are involved in. They've donated something over the years. There's no way we could raise over $250,000 without people being involved. So I want you to know, most of the people, I won't point to them and call them out, but these people have donated regularly, and they're still donating every pay period. Something comes out of their check to go towards STARS, and it continues. And so we want you to know that if you want to join us from that standpoint, we have forms for you to complete. But right now, this is our first external STARS project. I have a board meeting at 7:30 on Thursday to report to them how you responded to my announcement and how many tickets and what's going on with it. So I really hope that somebody signs up, sign this form. We're going to have a lot of forms here. I have ink pens. Just put your name, so say your name, your email address, and then the number of tickets you would like, and then you're going to get a link to show you where to go and purchase the ticket. Now, I would like to thank Susan. Is Susan still in here? She probably left. Susan, could you stand, please? Susan, and then Suzanne. Did I say Susan? Suzanne, I'm so sorry, Suzanne. Suzanne was at all of the board meetings this summer and helped us out so very much. And then when Stacy joined us, she started coming. Say, Stacy, can you stand? Stacy helped us out a great deal. Give her a hand. They have just been so supportive of the project and making this happen. Stacy worked really long to get this together. So we really need your support. This will be over here on the table with ink pens. You just walk up, sign your name, give us the information, and then actually Stacy is going to take care of getting the link to you later. Any questions? Questions? Yes? No? Thank you so very much.